And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the
Hey,
stream. Today, I have very special guests above me. Starting from the top, we have Evan Tangai, who is also
hey, how you doing? First time streaming.
he's also on top recently because he just won Calling Edinburgh with Gravy. And then in the middle, we also have a special guest, Bartosz Jamba,
Hello.
two-time Pro Tour finalist and a great deck builder. And together, Bartosz and Evan worked on this Gravy list that Evan won Calling Edinburgh with. And today we thought like, hey, let's discuss a bit about this list because they also recently released a Metafy, which is, I have to say, very in depth. They'll share a lot on game plans, matchups, how to play the deck. So far, doing pretty good, guys. 9.9.
Yeah, we were impressed by the ratings and like the feedback, but we did put a lot of effort into it. But we had a lot of pleasure writing everything, I think so. Right, Bartosz?
Yeah, it was really fun to write it, especially that we played the deck for so long and we deck build. We put a lot of effort in the deck building. So being able to put it out and for people to see the process is always really interesting to see, at least for me, how someone thought about all the cards they are putting in, what are their general game plans and in-depth ideas on how to tackle different matchups. So I think anyone that buys it will be happy and will be able to up their Gravy game.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah, the deck link is in the description, guys, if you want to check it out. But for today, we'll talk about something, and I've called it the Great Gravy Debate, and that's something that's
Quite a good
kind of
name.
Thank you. That's something that's quite interesting to me. That the opinions in matchups can differ a lot. So one example is that Evan said recently that he really doesn't like the Syndra matchup, but I, for example, I don't really like it, but I don't really dislike it either. I will say after the Warmongers started coming back in, it has gotten a lot of worse. But I thought like, hey, let's talk a bit about Gravy. I have Evan's list right here and Bartosz's that they created together. Also a list they'll discuss in a Metafy. And was just like, let's sort all the matchups and let's talk a little bit about them. To maybe get to an equal ground and see where everyone's opinions lie. So I guess let's start off right away with Syndra. Evan, you said this matchup was very bad. How bad is it, you think?
I mean, there's a lot of disparity with like in theory. I think Syndra matchup should be the worst matchup we can have in a tournament.
Okay.
I think I'm happier facing Dorinthia. Actually, I'm sure I'm happier facing Dorinthia or like, any other on paper doomed matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, Syndra can just, for one thing, you can start the game, turn 0, and then just lose instantly for like several reasons. Either they start and then they warmonger you, or they just convert all their hand and you're stuck with a few allies in hand. So they get to like threaten a lot of damage, and then you have to sacrifice armor. And then if you don't draw hands that convert immediately, you just lose the game on the spot, which is not something I like in a matchup. And I feel like I can be. Yeah, I feel like as soon as the game goes a little longer, even against like a deck like Dorinthia, I have more spots to edge out my opponents, and they have more spots to make mistake. So like, Syndra is just you don't really have that. If you have no block in hand, just gets thrown out of the game turn 0. And like I think with Bartosz we have the same experience in this matchup. Maybe it's because we're playing it a lot together and I get destroyed by Syndra, and he's playing it with Polish friends that are destroying him when he's playing Gravy.
Yeah, I think it's really tough, especially if someone is experienced. There's a lot of tricks at Gravy's arsenal that he can deploy to tackle Syndra. Like if you block really well against Syndra and she messes up with her dagger usage, you can get one of them with Sunken Treasure. Then if she only has one dagger, it gets much easier, especially if that's done in the early game. Whenever I brought Syndra to Polish nationals, I was playing Syndra on stream against Gravy, and exactly that happened. and so you can obviously lose the matchup if you misplay. So, but if you follow the fundamentals and don't make any major mistakes, don't overcommit at any point, because Syndra basically she wins the game by playing the game. She doesn't really need to do anything special. Just avoid making mistakes and giving Gravy any room to get back at her. And Gravy basically must win the game somehow, set up the big turn. To be honest, the biggest obstacle to go over is not bricking and generating enough gold in the early game so you can actually follow up on it and then be able to set up better turns, not brick on allies. There's a lot of things that must go right for you to win the matchup, and for Syndra it's basically just playing the game, playing it well.
Yeah. So so of course the chart ban really hurt. Because at the time we had chart and Syndra's weren't playing a lot of Warmongers, I actually felt like it was like here. Like, one big heuristic I learned was if you just play out an ally every turn and swing with it, you are likely going to win the game, because like Gravy is one of the best turn to turn value in the game, maybe even the best in the game, I don't know. But
Could be, yeah.
for me, when chart was still here and they weren't playing less Warmongers, I felt like the main thing from my side that I needed to really nail was using my quick dodge flexors at the correct moment. If I didn't use quick dodge flexors at the correct moment and I could only get like 4 value out of it, I would instantly lose the game. So I felt like you had to play very tight. Of course, some things needed to go your way, like opponent didn't need to have a good Wrath of Retribution turn. But I actually felt like it's favored. But you guys, as I'm hearing it, you guys think it's more like here, like the worst matchup.
Yeah, I'm in the chart ban. Like, if you haven't played the deck since then, against Syndra a lot,
Mm-hmm.
it hurts so much because chart was like the best piece of stability we had in the deck. Because as soon as you had it in hand, even if your hand was like fully bricked, there was so many combination of cards that could allow you to get to an ally. Even if you had like any card draw, any swell, and a blue on top, you could go like 3 or 4 cards deep, and then if you had 14 ally in the deck, you were likely to hit one with the chart at some point. It was like the biggest tool for stability. And I think you're right. Syndra matchup is actually not like, it's not difficult to play it out on Gravy's side, except like finding the right flexor spot. But like the rest is just blocking well, like blocking late in the turn to not get punished, playing out an ally every turn, finding the turn where you want to threaten lethal. But like, this is what you do with Gravy when the deck is working out, when you have gold. And
Yeah.
right now, the biggest problem is just, you draw your first hand, and a lot of the time you're not like making a gold turn 0 and then or turn 1, and then you have to like play out. Usually you can play out an ally and like make a first turn which is good enough. You go Jittery Bones or tip the barkeep and you swing with an ally. But then the hand after that, if you break this hand when the Syndra is actually threatening real damage that you can't block for free with the reset of the first turn, this is the moment you lose the game. And you will not lose the game at this point if you had a gold made on turn 1, on turn 0, which was happening quite a lot before. So yeah, I feel like when we were playing the game from Gravy's side and like Warmonger was not as present in the list, we were favored like by a bit, especially like because Syndra, I felt like were not used to play against Gravy and made quite a bunch of mistakes, like not blocking enough, not denying gold. Like, gold is so much important against Syndra that even if the Gravy already has 1 or 2 gold, denying gold is still important because you can just draw the game out, clear the allies, deny the gold, and at some point the Gravy is likely to break, which is even more relevant right now. Like, when I'm facing a Syndra in tournament, I think, like, Bartosz is always doing that when I was testing against him. I was like, my deck is going well, I have 2 gold, and then I play the 2 turn, you just block a bunch, clear my allies, and at some point I'm just breaking, and it's happening every game. Like, yeah, I feel like when the Syndra knows what she's doing, it's so difficult.
Yeah, that is a big one, and I think Bartosz, you told me this as well. When at Worlds Philadelphia, I also played Syndra, and at that point, I don't know how it happened, but I never played a Gravy before in testing. I don't know why, but I saw you at the bathrooms, and I said, Bartosz, please help me. You've played Gravy, you've
Yeah.
played Syndra. I could pair into a Syndra, or I could pair into a Gravy. Sorry, and I just need to know what to do because I feel like at the time you thought like, okay, Syndra against Gravy, my mask works on the allies, whatever. It's a good matchup, and you said something very interesting to me, and that is, you should never go to one dagger, preferably, and never ever ever go to 0 daggers. That was the first thing. Also, the thing was you said like, don't be afraid to block, because you have the typical Syndra at the calling level where it's like they don't block anything except with the
Yeah.
boots. Because the boots, yeah, they're gonna use, so you get one free block out of it, right? That makes sense. But you said if they hook, you should always block it. So you guys think that level up is causing this much difference in the matchup?
I think obviously it's like maybe Bartosz was exaggerating a bit. You should not always block hook, especially if you have like a really good hand or you can sit on little.
Mhm.
But on a turn per turn basis, you should always think about how you want to make the Gravy brick. And it's like it's not even something you should do as a Syndra. It's something you should do as any deck against Gravy. You should think about how you want the Gravy deck to like not work anymore, like to stop working. And sometimes it's just blocking a bunch, clearing allies, starving him from gold or grave, and he has a huge chance of breaking, especially in Syndra matchup, right? Because we have less allies right now in the deck, because we want to be able to block a bit more. So like we don't have much gold generation, we can be starved with allies. So that's a lot of parameter that, yeah, you should like block a bunch and try also to get to your power card. Like getting to draw the Warmonger in a game is important. Getting to flick as many times as you can is also important. Extending the game from Syndra point of view is something you should do. And a lot of people are not getting that. Like they're thinking of the matchup as Syndra being the aggressor that want to like play as few turns as she can. But when I'm playing Gravy against Syndra, I'm just like, I need to finish this game while my deck is still working out because
Right.
at some point it's gonna be cooked.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking really fast in the matchup, especially that you get you get to the point that you cannot actually block out Syndra and at the same time being able to set up an ally or like draw discarded, play it out, play T plus, convert your ley lines to the full value. So actually you start not being able to play the game at like 15 life total as Gravy. So
Yeah.
the clock is much faster than you might think it is because the life total is pretty much fake in that regard. That to be able to convert your hand, you need a lot of life total, especially if you want to set up the Conqueror turn. A lot of games are lost by Gravy because they have Conqueror at the ready. Syndra never arsenals a card and they are just stuck with it and they don't want to send it for 8 because it's not it's too soon to do that and she might get an arsenal at some point and then you will get the full value out of it and actually be able to swing the tempo. But it might be the case that they always convert every hand, they never arsenal, and it really doesn't matter because all the basically every 4 card hand from Syndra makes it so that they can draw off of mask and send enough damage for you to be forced to respect it somehow. They have a lot of on hits, especially whenever all the Cinderellas started playing real finishers, not Hunt the Hunters and Art of the Dragonfire, which are pretty strong in the slower metas, but whenever you actually need to hit your opponent and force your opponent to interact with you, take the tempo and breaking point, just take the spot,
Yeah.
and it's insane how much stronger the deck is if you actually are running those finishers because your opponent must be at the ready. You must keep your you must keep your cards to block with for the finisher if it comes. If it doesn't, you might have lost some value along the way. But if you disrespect it at some point and they actually have it, you are cooked. Like there's no coming back because it's so much value.
Yeah. We actually got a question from someone, Meister Jono. What's up, by the way, people in chat? Vashnaroth, great to see you back. LXWXS says, step 1, flip back alley break line. Which Evan did.
Yeah, that's something that's actually helpful. But against Syndra, you should not be running back alley, so that's like the rival is out of the deck. And yeah.
Meister
in some
Jono
matchups,
asked,
it's helpful.
how often are you slamming Call to the Grave Chum in a matchup?
Every time, basically.
Every time.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the rule is there are a few exceptions, but as a basis, Call to the Grave Chum is like a 2-card 10 that reset tempo, so you should be doing it. But there are exceptions, like if you know that your opponent is playing Pilfer,
Oh yeah.
or that you have an inkling that he might be playing Pilfer, and you can't play out the Chum without activating Death Thread, you should think about it. Like, at the point in the game where you are, if your opponent is a fatigue deck, some Huntsman are playing Pilfer, some Oscillio are playing Pilfer. Like, think about it for a minute, and like, do you think about if you have the space to actually not get the Chum and get a Soulbones also, which is also really good. And also in some matchups, it's just better to get Soulbones. Like against Vincent, for example, the best ally is Soulbones because she has to clear it. She can ignore Chum, and you will have to use an ally from your hand, and she will just send 6, and she will send 6 into any allies you present she wants to clear. So just putting the Soulbones on board is like always better against Vincent. Like if you call to the grave, you call the Soulbones instantly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially because Vincent also has a Pilfer the Pool built in with invert existence.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but most of the time getting Chum is.
I'll just add to that I've meant slamming Chum out of Call to the Grave in regards of Syndra matchup, because like it's the best one you can get, and if they are on Pilfer, then well, you got it.
Maybe I miss it. But yeah, against Syndra you always Call to the Grave.
But against every other deck, as Evan says, it's not always so clear that it's Chum, but most of the time it is Chum.
And really, sometimes, like if you have multiples or like opponent asks you to convert your whole hand, you would go like Fiddlers or something, right?
Yeah, against Syndra, for example, if you have already allies in the grave, you should never go Call to the Grave ally to fill your grave more. Except, like, there is some exception to that. Like, some game you are like ahead in the game, and you losing the game is basically you breaking the next hand. So playing the Call to the Grave to get more allies is like good enough. But every other time you should convert the Call to the Grave for free by getting Fiddler's Green. But also, like, it's important to think about how you can actually get this Call to the Grave into Arsenal if you have other option in the turn, because this is unbreaking your next turn for sure with having it in Arsenal.
Yeah. Right, Meister Jonas says, thanks for the answer. I noticed Justin Chu really prioritized trying to spike the Swabby swing in the matchup. Is this still an important tool or less so nowadays? Because you are not on Swabby anymore, right?
Yeah. So Swabby is actually not that bad into Syndra. It's one of the few matchups where it's interesting because you always want to resolve your loot the old. So actually having a breakpoint on it is good. So we cut it from the list for like other reason. Maybe we would want to have one into Syndra just to have the option to get him.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's much worse to like play it in the mid game where you don't have a loot the old to pair with. And I think Justin was also playing it like this aggressively when we still add chart into the deck and more swell into the deck, and we had like more gold generation, more cards that got us a lot of pitch in the turn, and Swabby was like much easier to play because right now when you're playing against Syndra, it's actually difficult to play out to Swabby.
Yeah.
Like you need to have, because your blue are not making pitch for like almost all of them. So playing a Swabi is usually a 3-card play with Rabble.
Yeah.
So like you need to get the Swabi in the grave and then use a Rabble or a blue attack and pitch 2 card and then get the Swabi out, which is it's actually much more difficult right now. But I would say like if you think that there will be a lot of Syndra in your local metagame, because this is not the case right now in tier 3 or 4 tournament. Having one Swabi to make it a good loot build target is something you may want to have against Syndra.
Yeah. Also, something I liked about Swabi in the Syndra matchup was that actually closing out the game against Syndra is very hard because you need to demand a lot of cards, and every card they keep can clear the ally again. And like especially when they were at 1, demanding 3 cards always, and if they have a lot of 3 blocks, like maybe all of their cards, I really found useful as well. But yeah, I agree. Maybe.
Yeah, having the one Swabi is like it may be something that gives you a bit of win rate into Syndra.
Yeah.
It's arguable. Like maybe having one more allies, like getting the 12 allies with the 3 anchors, and then plus 1 Swabi is maybe the best spot where you can be against Syndra allies wise.
Yeah, what's good also Swabi is that it has a breakpoint, and that breakpoint is good not only for the loot the hold, but also for the hook. If you ever want to just hook without having any goals created prior, it's just good because it's really hard for her to block it out, especially if she doesn't have a shoe. She will have to give out 3 cards, and that's impossible for her. And if you sacrifice your hook to get 3 cards out of there, it's basically time warping, and that's good enough in the matchup because that buys you the much needed time to be able to actually win the game.
Yeah. Dry hooking with Swabi is really good.
Piero Carini asks us, hi, did you feel the missing of Oysten in the Syndra matchup? That's also an interesting thing we can discuss. Oysten is now cut out of the list. And I think in your last guide, Evan, I think I read this, that Oysten was the worst ally, but no one dared to cut it. But now it's cut.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't like Oysten, but I will limit my explanation to the Syndra matchup because we are currently on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, against Syndra, and I think it follows what you said, Paul, that we want to close out the game, but we also want like to convert a lot of our hands aggressively to cut the game shorter. Like we said, if the game goes longer, the Syndra is gonna get more momentum trigger, more flick knife, gonna see a Warmonger and get you into a spot where you can close out the game. So like every time I had the Oyster available, I was like, I think I would rather like convert 1 more card to get maybe 2 or 3 more value by playing an anchor out, 1 more anchor out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like each time it was like this. And I had the spot before we were like fine with slowing down the game a little bit and then just going cold to the guys Oysten and just like slowing the game out because we had 9 people or like the chart in the deck. So seeing more hands was actually positive for us because we could convert every one of them, getting more gold. And at some point you had 8 to 9 gold against Syndra, which was enough to just get a 2 or 3 card and kill her. This does not happen anymore. So like just going full defensive and playing the Oysten out, if she has the chest available, she's just gonna go flick, send the dagger into the Oysten as she should. She should also do that into Rigor Mortis, but she should also do it in the Oysten. And then it's like you made 5 out of your ally, which is good, but you didn't threaten that much damage, so you just actually extended the game.
Right. Yeah. Also, the issue now is that Oysten is such a small power, has such a small attack that if you ever are able to activate hook on it, the Syndra doesn't mind giving out a card to prevent you from creating goals, and then she will starve you out of goals, and she will not even clear the Oysten to give you the gold, because giving you the gold means that you will unbrick. And if Oysten is on the board, she's not threatening you. Like you can take 3 every turn. It doesn't matter. Like that's not what the matchup is all about.
Yeah.
So being able to ignore it right now is just like you actually want to ignore it because it will not give Gravy the gold, and it having such a small breakpoint. Also, why Ankas are maxed out right now is because she's also a discard outlet, and we are missing that really badly right now. The issue with the deck now is sometimes it's impossible to get allies into your bin because you don't have enough options to do that. Because we lost gold generation, we lost the chart, so not really. And in especially in aggro matchups, you are forced to run flexors because how strong they are. So you don't have base of the mountain that helps with that, or Carrion Crown. So basically, you are not really able to do anything with that.
Yeah. Not the Oyster mana anymore then. Okay, so I think the conclusion is Syndra is just a bad matchup. I think you guys kind of convinced me. I've had a lot of Warmongers played against me, and it just feels so bad. Like,
It's just horrible. Like my top 4 in the national was just the Syndra started against me. I was like, I have a good hand. My hand was like Sunken Treasure, Fearless.
yeah,
Like I'm gonna block with everything, maybe get the dagger out. And she went Warmonger. I'm like,
yeah. It's
I
just a
just
time
lost.
walk. It's literally just a time, except if you have like a Conqueror or like a Red Swell into something. But it's
Yeah,
just
you need to have a perfect hand to answer the Warmonger, and if you don't, then it's insane value. And even if you have a good enough answer, most of the time it's just good enough. Like you just pass back to each other.
yeah.
Then because like you will send Conqueror and Murderous Rabble, she can just block out Conqueror, block out Murderous Rabble, and then you have a fresh full hand. But can you even convert it? Most probably not.
It's
So
the mystery every time.
yeah.
Alright. Syndra's bad. Okay, but Gravy, Evan, in the last video said you even think he's the best deck right now. What is then a reason to play Gravy? What out of the matchups here? Maybe a popular one. You really like to see. Which one?
I think like the reason to play Gravy is probably the Mario matchup. I
Mario?
think.
Alright. What do you think?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I think it should be like the reasonably the most represented deck in the next tournament. And I feel really favored against Mario if you played like if you present the right suite of equipment, you kinda block out the ways Mario has to win against you reliably. Like because most of the time the way you see Gravy losing against Mario is what? They present an attack with Go Again, like a Calypso or something, and you need to make a blocking decision because you could get stuck with unconvertible card, which happens a lot in Gravy. You have to block a bit each turn, and then you make a blocking decision on a Calypso, and this thing usually happens. He plays one or two attack reaction, or maybe nothing, and at the end of the turn, after you made all your blocking decision because you had to not get punished and get stuck with a bunch of card and less life, you're gonna get Leave No Witness or CNC, and then you have no ways of actually protecting your arsenal without giving up your turn because you don't have enough card to play your turn and block it out. So that means you need to have some ways of preventing that, and that's running Base of the Mountain and Crown of Provenance. For Crown of Provenance is like your emergency button. You use it as soon as you need to protect your arsenal without giving up your turn, to protect your like quad quantity to play out your turn. But Base of the Mountain is also really important because it allows you some flexibility in blocking cards like CNC. You can just like present Base of the Mountain, block with one card from hand, and then give up Death Thread and Hook, and you just block a CNC with one card. Like you need in Mario matchup to have flexibility to not get punished during the opponent's turn, to just be able to play out one ally per turn. Because as you said, if you can do that reliably, Mario will get stuck in a position where he had to you will have to choose every turn to clear or not the allies. And if you choose to not clear the ally, you just slow the game down and try to capitalize of like on your Anka and just see more Avastia tip the barkeep. So yeah, what I found to like correct maybe the because if you look at the win rate in Fablazing
Yeah.
against Mario, it's not really impressive, or like it's really dependent on the tournament. And my personal win rate against Mario with Gravy, I think in tournament it's like close to 80%.
Wow, 80%.
Like
I didn't expect it to be that favored. That is.
across tournament. I mean, it may be warped a little bit, but I do think like it's not a 60% matchup. It's for me, it's like a true 70% matchup.
Interesting.
Like if you play the right suite of equipment, and you need to play the game tight, preserve your life point to not get stuck into the end game that Mario or where Mario is really favored, and just like not being able to make informed blocking decision is bad in the end game. But yeah, just try to like slow the game out, play wisely around attack reaction, but still try to convert your defensively. The worst is like the worst is the two opposite, like getting stuck with too many cards in hand or getting punished by the leave no witness and everything. You can play the equipment to correct this, and then you just need to make good blocking decision and play around like just Tartox and try to think if you can play around it, how many are left, etc. But yeah, just playing the right suite of equipment, I felt like it's just 10% win rate free.
So can you clue us in a little bit about, like, of course, most of the things are discussed in the Metafy, but like, what's an equipment piece that's wrong, like, to run?
I think Mage Master Boots is really, 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 really bad. And Flexor is like a little bit better, but it's also really, 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 really bad. Yeah, I don't think we agree on battles
doesn't like it.
I don't think we agree with battles like on which one is the worst, but we definitely agree that both of them are really bad into Mario.
Right. So it has to be base of the mountain then.
Yeah, it has to be base. Base should be a mainstay because of just how flexible it is, and as we've mentioned, like you are missing discard outlets now. It's one of the biggest issues of the deck right now, that sometimes it's really hard to get the ally to the bin, and that's most of the time that's really the only thing you need to succeed in the game, just to be able to give go again to your ally, even if that ally wasn't free because you discarded with gold or with some other card that has another benefit to it. Just getting allies, just being able to play the game, actually play the game, is most of the time enough to win a lot of the matchups.
Yeah.
And that's a piece of equipment that always helps you to do that. And it's not a headpiece, and you have a lot of good headpieces, so that's why you would prefer to be able to run Base of the Mountain in as many of them and then be flexible with the headpiece, because Crown of Providence is good against decks with Arsenal Disruption, Balance of Justice is good into decks that draw a lot of cards, and then Carrion Husk is really good against all the fatigue tower decks, where again, what you need to do is be able to actually play the game.
Yeah, that's something that I think we will be saying it a lot when we discuss matchups. It's just like maybe an artifact of primetime Gravy when we had 9 people in chat. But like being able to do our thing and play out an ally every turn and convert our end and making gold, and like activating Hook, using Death Shred every turn. It's just crazy. Like when the deck is playing like he wants to be playing, and like he was playing in Singapore, for example, you're just playing one of the best deck that was ever designed in the game. The issue is right now, yeah, you have some game where you just play the worst deck that was ever designed in the game because you don't do anything, and you can do like, yeah, sometimes you just do 4 blues that does nothing, and if yeah,
it's insane.
Can't do anything with it.
We got some shots in the chat from Malaxi. He says, "I see only one expert." Who's the expert here, Florin? Who's the? I think he means Evan here.
And he's not wrong.
He's not
wrong.
No.
I would say.
I mean, maybe he thinks so because Bartosz hasn't been playing Gravy in tournament and hasn't been playing that many tournaments lately. But if you could like look at our Discord conversation with Bartosz, going back 5 months. I don't know how many things we said about Gravy and the thing we discussed about it, but
Bartosz
yeah.
made top 16 in Singapore, right? And you top
Yeah.
4th Copenhagen? Or top 8th? Top 8th
Yeah,
Copenhagen.
top 8 at
Top
Copenhagen.
Top four.
He destroyed me in the
That's
mirror.
insane.
Florin, I have to say.
So yeah, I don't think Bartosz is not an expert on the deck. Actually, I think he's quite an expert. Just he doesn't play it in tournament, even if I tell him to.
Yeah, I didn't have many chances to compete lately, and I was kinda slacky. I was slacking on the testing recently as well. So, and Gravy is really difficult deck, really technical, and it's easy to forget the play patterns. Even though whenever you are in the on the run and you actually play the deck a lot, it's easy to discern all the complex lines or all the intricacies that are there that make it so that you don't break, or you are able to set up the big turns easily. But if you don't play and actually put in hours to practice, then the deck is really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, mechanically it's like difficult to just get from the theoretical standpoint of like talking about it and getting actually to play it. But I think it happened to everyone. Like I was talking with Justin in Shinjuku, was it? Yeah. And like he told me how difficult it was to like go back on playing Gravy for a calling, even if he has played like few thousands game of the
Yeah.
deck. He hadn't played for like 2 weeks, which is not a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But he ended up thinking, wow, that's actually quite a lot to just get back on the deck. You need to have. I felt like if I didn't have 10 reps on the deck, like the day before at least, I wasn't feeling in the zone to
Yeah.
not make basic mistake with the deck, which is difficult. And it's something to like take into account, that and the difficult matchups of Gravy, but also like how difficult the deck is to actually play. And it's with each ban it has become even more difficult to play out.
For sure. Lucas did raise an interesting point though, and I'm very curious. Because Lucas said he has an 80% win rate as Mario against Gravy in the callings. Does skill level, I mean, of course, it differences. Like, if someone is higher skilled Mario, they'll give you a harder game. But I've also played Mario a lot myself lately, and I found there's even among the top players, there's like a difference in opinion about how you should approach the matchup. People like Kashi, for example, really like denying the gold. So they really like, whenever, like Bartosz said with Syndra, whenever they hook, you block it, you deny the gold, you try to threaten fatigue. And then you have someone like Jacob that really doesn't like to block against Gravy, and is even ignoring allies. So, like Salbos, he will clear, but a Chum, for example, which is an ally, most people will be like, okay, have to clear that, because if I play this Savor Bloodshed and I attack for 5 and he activates Chum, I'm just cooked. Jacob even ignores Chum. How scared are you? Because I assume the 80% win rate is against all Marios, also before Mario got like the Unmake the Underlings deck, which I assume really helps. Maybe you can elaborate on that as well. How much does the skill level change in your confidence in this matchup?
Also, 80% is like my personal win rate against Mario in tournament. But I don't think it's like I don't think it's 80%. Just
I see.
because Mario are also like quite bad on average in calling.
So
At playing against
wouldn't
Gravy, and that's like the point we're going to have now.
Mhm.
Or you should like approach the matchup. And yeah, I felt like Jacob approach to the matchup as maybe the biggest chance to like increase your win rate drastically as a Mario player, because you're punishing a lot of sideboard choices that the Gravy are likely to make. I've talked about quite a lot of Gravy players in the last few callings and even at the PT, and I was surprised, and it even happened in the top 8 at the PT. I was surprised or scared they were of getting fatigued and like how many fatigue tools they were running. They were playing card like Last Ditch Effort, Scubas in 2 or 3, even Whaler in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like really, really bad if your opponent is just ignoring things you put on board. If he's not clearing the Scubas, if he's letting you having the Ankas, because you're gonna draw clunky hand that don't block
Yeah.
and don't convert. So so that is the thing I'm the most scared about. That's why I just sideboard for like Jacob's strategy
Mm-hmm.
of killing me,
Yeah.
and I try to have as many cards in the deck that can convert against Mario. That's why I was playing Cheating Scoundrel also. So like you can't really get punished if they choose his plan, because if they give you a lot of tempo back, you can convert with Cheating Scoundrel. And if you don't have a lot of tempo, you can just block with it. I like those cards because they can prevent both situations. But yeah, I think Bartosz can maybe go a bit more on that, but Jacob's strategy is probably the better one, and what you should try to do. Only clear allies like Trump when your hand is like only able to clear it, or able to clear it really effectively. Because you should like just wait for the opponent to activate the Trump and then clear it so that he loses with one card.
Yeah.
I think it also changed a lot now with Unmake the Underlings, because now you can actively be ignoring Cham and clear it at an opportune moment whenever you actually get to see Unmake the Underlings, either just the card or have Codex of Frailty, and just get it from your graveyard. So that's something that changed now, and I agree with what Evan said. Whenever I was playing the matchup, and as I said, I was slacking a little lately, so I was putting in additional anti-fatigue tools, so maybe a single whaler or like additional allies. So what was Jacob's idea for the approach, how to approach the matchup, is actually I would also say correct, and the biggest and the approach that would net you the best advantage, as you are able to punish people for sideboarding not sideboarding correctly, especially what I was doing and what I assume people were doing is cutting on defense reactions and Fiddler's Green, and these are the cards that if you have them, Mario shouldn't be able to kill you really, as you get both additional ways to gain life and get out of the Flick Knife's range, as well as just being able to fuel your graveyard with allies, because you actually have a good discard outlet in form of Blood in the Water. But without them, you are basically at Mario's mercy. If you draw a lot of allies and they choose, because they have a good hand, like they have Saber and Titox, they'll just send it at you, not occurring the word. And if you are stuck with all the allies, you will just take 20, and then the next time they do that, you are actually in the kill range, and you don't really have any ways to get back to the game because you don't have D-Reacts in your list. Also, with people skimping on the base of the mountain, you don't really have a good way to convert your hand if Mario actually chooses to smack you. So I think there's a lot of sideboard decisions that make it so that the matchup is closer or not, and what strategy will the Mario takes will actually benefit them the most. But also it's a really intricate matchup that requires you to know the ins and outs, because it's really easy to get fatigued, but at the same time, if you give Mario too much room, Mario can convert every hand basically they drew, so it's not an issue for them, as would be the case for Guardians, for example. If you leave them with the 4 or 5 card hand, they will always make use of it, no matter what the 4 or 5 cards are. And with Guardians, most of the time, the worst thing they could do is send Final Crash at you, and that's not even that good.
Yeah.
This is, I think I would like summarize it by saying the Mario should try to play in between, but not
Yeah.
really. like in between, but more toward like the aggressive plan. And when your hand can't really push enough, you should try to block if there is an ornate, a hook or something, and reset the board. But you should never actively be like, I want to block a lot and threaten fatigue as Mario. Except if you have like a crazy sideboard with Pilfer and everything, and then you lose against every other deck, but that's fine. You win against Grady, and I hate you. But yeah, you should, because that's what I assume good Mario will do. Try to be the in between, and that's why I don't put like all the defense reaction in, because I fear just not being able to convert my hand offensively when I get the tempo. But also why like I put some of them in with the Fearless Green. Fearless Green is also good for that because it's kind of easier to convert because you can discard it and still
you
get the
play
value.
Fiddler's Green as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, one Fiddler and 2 defense reactions for like
okay,
a good
so,
mix.
Yeah, so not 3 Blood and Water, 2 Blood and Water and Fiddlers. Yeah.
No, 3 would be too much. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, you can really get swamped easily by defense reaction in this matchup.
Yeah, really.
You want to be able
really,
to play out the
yeah,
turn.
really bad top decks as well. It's like if you also add sinks, like if you start cracking gold, you draw sink, it's like so bad. But that's interesting. I guess Fiddler's Green is also really good against Clave in general.
Yeah, you have some iron with it, and then it's also a way to convert with Call to the Grave,
Yeah,
which is interesting.
very important. Okay, so Evan, if you play a top level Mario, you still say 70%, or you would rank it a little bit lower?
Yeah, 70%.
Nice, I like it. Confident.
Yeah, I mean, I have like, I think in testing I was like 100% into Jacob
Okay.
through Shinjuku to Edinburgh, so I was quite confident into Mario. But
That's sick.
it's like sometimes you have some bias when playing against the same player for a lot of games.
Right.
So not to take to.
Okay, what's I guess the next matchup that is most popular it was Mario and Acidio. What do you guys think about the Acidio matchup? I haven't really played this matchup, and it's also kind of difficult because there's multiple versions. You have the arcane version, you have the counterburn version of Alexander 4, and you have the Golden Flash version. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so that's where you need to like know the right people to get into the Discord server to actually know how to sideboard.
Very controversial topic lately, yeah. Do you need to have a scouting Discord basically?
So like, yeah, as controversial as it can be, if you're playing Gravy, it's just insane how much win rate you're winning by knowing which plan Auxilio is on. Because against Arcane, if you can present AB2 and just the like full aggressive but still with a lot of blue plan, you should almost never be losing against Arcane Auxilio because you have allies that he can't really clear during your turn. You have life gain. You have a lot of aggressive option with the Sloop, the Conqueror, the Swell. You can swing multiple ally because in this matchup you should get jump out as soon as you can to then convert your Avacii and your tip for 4. Yeah. There is a big clock on him. Yeah, if you know they're playing Spell, you just destroy them. And if you know they're playing God in a Flash, you get a lot of equity being able to play AB1 and Flexor. And all the defense reaction, cutting out some amount of block 2 it's insane. You're still like, I feel God in the Flash is still a bad matchup, but it's playable. Before it was really, really, really difficult to play it. And like, if you know that there will be a lot of God in the Flash in the metagame, which is not the case right now. In Edinburgh, there were 27 Auxilios and only 7 of them were on God in the Flash. But if it was the opposite, yeah, that was at the end of day 1 what we learned about this.
Wait, can you say that again? There were...
If I remember correctly, there were 27 Auxilios in Edinburgh. Tied with Mario, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 27, either 7 or 8, I don't remember the exact number, were going in the Flash. And like all the rest was a mix of alternate spell Auxilios, or like mix, but not who gone in the Flash deck. But if it was the opposite, and like going in the Flash, which is probably the better version, but less hype, and I think less people don't really like to play this one because it has been around for so long. If you know that there will be a lot of gun in the flash, you can just put some amount of weakest link, which is as good as it was before, and Oscillio gun in the flash is less good than it was before. So yeah, it's still a bad matchup, but you have some tools you can use, and as long as you know it's gun in the flash, you should still be able to play the game out, which is something you want to be able in most matchup.
So
But yeah,
Arcane,
sorry,
you say it's unlosable, and then Gun
Yeah.
in the Flash, where would you rate it? Let's say it's the Gun in the Flash version for this.
interesting. I think it's Bartosz, what would you say? I'm not sure. Like I played it a bunch, but not that many that I could confidently say it's 40% or 45%, or I guess we could put it in the 40%
Right.
according to Fireblazing data. I would feel quite confident it's like not lower than 40%.
Yeah, as you said, the issue is that into spell Oscillio or counterburn, if you are able to present AB2 and don't have any D-reacts, it's basically like you can lose, but it's pretty much hard because you can always convert your hands. Even if you are flooded with allies, you can pitch them away. Much easier use of much easier time sending two allies at your opponent. And against Gun in the Flash, it's actually a really hard matchup, especially going blind if you are not sure if you are able to bring in the reacts. So I think 40% is a correct assessment of that matchup in general, because going in blind against Oscillio. Because if it would be against the Arcane Oscillio, it would be up in the 70s. And maybe even 50-50 if you know it's Gun in a Flash and you can bring in all the hate and remove all the bad cards that otherwise you want to have in case it's the Arcane Oscillio. But it is going in blind is probably 40%, yeah.
And yeah, when you're going blind, I just assume that they're playing spell. Like I assume reasonably that they're playing spell, so I present AB2, and then I have some amount of defense reaction. Because as long as you present AB2 against spell, you should like. I think with AB2 and some defense reaction, you're at like 70%, because you still have to like play your deck out and you can break a bit. But without them, you're like even higher. But yeah, that's why, yeah, when playing against Oscillio blind, just assume that it's spell and play AB2. And then Gun in the Flash destroys me.
Scouting is important. Alright, what about Jarl? Because I used to think Jarl was like great matchup. Like even if they destroy your compass, doesn't really matter. You can get there. This was in the chart days. Lately, I've been thinking, wow, it's a lot harder actually. But in your Metafy guide, I saw one interesting sentence, and it was after your compass has been destroyed, take a step back and assess how are you going to win the game. What do you guys think about the Euro matchup in general?
Yeah, so I don't think I had that many reps before the PT against the Jarl with the new version of Gravy. And in the PT, I got punished because like I played my game, I got my compass broken on turn 2. And yeah, I played it like I would play it before. So still putting out some amount of allies, some amount of damage, and just relying heavily on the last few turns of the game. But right now, when you get your compass broken, it's you need to set up even more than before. You really need like, yeah, that's why I said to take a step back, and I think Bartosz agrees with me on that. That when your compass is gone, you should think about how many rum will you need, what should your stack look like, how many golds will you need to like close out the game, do allies after allies after allies, and before you could just like kinda present some damage and set up a bit like 2 rum, 3 rum, some amount of gold. And because you had so much fuel in the deck, it will be good enough. And there was a remembrance also. Right now, when you get your compass broken too early in the game, what you need to do is plan the end of the game to be like on 5 or 6 turn, to be just ally after ally. Like you start by double allying, and then after that, every turn you put an ally on board, and this should go on for like 4 or 5 turns to put out enough damage. And then after that, you do the last ditch effort turn. But this takes a lot of setups, like much more than before, and it's so draining that you really, really need to be prepared when you enter into the game to like actually be able to do that when it happens. And you should also play around some cards. Like I wasn't aware that some y'all were playing 3 copies of Blizzard in the deck.
Yeah.
And I got punished quite a bit. So think about that. Add it to like the gold equation. How many goals to know exactly how many goals you will need to like have a comfortable amount to get through the Blizzard at the end of the game. So it's clearly worse than before, because before, even just with chart, I felt like this matchup was just unlosable. We had enough ways of getting action point without committing any setups, just by playing the free chart and 1 or 2 swell on the back alley and getting him around in the deck. That is not possible right now. We only have 3 swell, and it's actually quite difficult to keep them in the deck and then getting the back alley every turn, because you still need to have some amount of card, keep some gold for the end of the turn. So yeah, it's just much more setup than before. And when you get your compass broken early, the matchup goes down dramatically. It should still be winnable and maybe like 50-50 at this point, depending on what the Jarl is running. It depends. If he's like really, really defensive, running some Pit for the Pool and everything, it starts to be really doomed. But yeah, the matchup before that, and I think a lot of people would agree, before the chart ban and even before the Remembrance ban, like losing Remembrance is huge in this matchup, because we could just Remembrance, for example, back alley into deck, getting him back after a Call to the Grave or something. So yeah, right now it's much more difficult when we get our compass broken. So I would say this matchup is, I feel, it's interesting. Bartosz, how will you compare it to like how will you feel if you had the choice to play against Mario or Jarl?
I would for sure want to play against Mario.
Hmm.
Against
agree.
Yard, it's the issue is that there's a lot of randomness involved in that matchup, you like it or not, because the game really heavily depends on how early your compass is gone, but as well as if your compass is gone, if you are able to draw tip the barkeeps and have goals up to be able to recycle tip the barkeep enough times to have the setup Evan said about, to be able to then double ally in the later turns of the game. If before you get your compass destroyed and Jarl has to take an off turn, you were able to double ally even using Mage Master boots, that also gives you a lot of room to then still be able to develop, and then not losing a lot of life total, because they still need to take at least 2 turns to remove the allies you already had on the board. So that's another important factor that matters. So maybe it's not a 50-50 matchup, maybe it's 60% for Gravy, but it's really hard to say how hard or what the percentage is on the matchup, because there are so many different things that can happen during the game.
Yeah.
And it makes it so that it's basically not every game is not the same. Not one game is the same against Yard, because getting the compass broken on turn 1, turn 2, turn 7, it matters a lot. And you breaking early on or breaking later in the game. I had one game whenever it looked like I will not get my compass destroyed, so I didn't really care about keeping tip the barkeeps in my deck. But then my deck stopped functioning for a turn or two. I got my compass destroyed, and then I only had one tip the barkeep in the deck, so I actually had to take like 20 or 30 damage to be able to start recycling tip the barkeep, and then I didn't have enough life total to spare in the end game to be able to actually utilize the runs and the setup I made. So a lot of different things happening during the game. It's hard to gauge it, but I would for sure give it like 50 to 60% for Gravy anyway. but I would much rather be playing against Mario because I would feel more in control, or at least feel more that I know what might happen during the game. And against Yard, it's a roulette pretty often.
I think it also heavily depends on the list you're presenting against your, like the current list we have. It doesn't have that many whaler, only one. We only have one back alley in the deck. And I guess Yarlis also was one of the only matchup where having more less ditch effort in the deck would maybe be useful. Or more red swell also. Like you can do a lot of things to improve the matchup when you get your compass broken. But it's not the case in this list. So I think I would say 60% is a reasonably decent.
Reasonable. Yeah. Taking all the games together, getting the average slightly favored for Gravy.
It's just like it's just so difficult to navigate the compass game that I have not seen many Gravy actually win after losing that compass early on, which theoretically is not like what should happen. You should be winning some of those games out by playing them close to perfectly.
What's another matchup that you think is like controversial or interesting to talk about? Because there's a lot. Like with Vincent, that is, I think was after these decks the most represented.
Oh yeah, we can talk about
Vincent.
Can talk about Vincent. I have a lot of reps in the Vincent because Brody like to play a lot of game, and I think between Shinjuku and Edinburgh, I've maybe played 50. Not 50. 30. Yeah, 30. 30 game against Brody, if I can, because we are playing like 1 or 2 game every morning of the calling, and like every day we would meet. We are playing between 2 or 3 games, so I think that should add up to like almost 30 game. And if I'm not wrong, I think I only lost 1 game against Brody playing Vincent, and it just felt so unlosable. I was like, Vincent can do anything if you play really, really defensive. Like you should just be playing as defensively as you can with Gravy.
Yeah.
And like I was happy just playing defensively as much as I could, just to get to the point I could play a Sorbonne out. I played the Sorbonnes. Vincent has to clear it. You get all tempo back, and then at this point, you're just in control for the rest of the game. And every game it was like that. It was just I get to Sorbonne. Vincent has to sacrifice everything, all the setup to clear it, and the only way she can really win against you is just like winning dice roll, going turn 0, opening like a lot of Malefic incantation turn 0, and then you breaking the first turn, not getting an ally, for example.
Yeah.
And then she actually has the setup, no ally to clear, and she can go on for a lot of turns. But it's so unlikely to happen.
So you're saying playing defensive, what does that exactly mean? Because I've actually lost this matchup at a calling before, where I also tried to play as defensively as possible, like throw everything, like pitch for AB, block the attacks out, and then the moment Vincent like has an off turn or a setup turn, you play an ally, and then you exactly like you say get in the loop of they have to clear it, you get back all the tempo. But this time the Vincent just didn't do a setup. Like they didn't break. They kept their cards in the banish zone. They played cards like Painful Passage. Do you take damage to play out an ally, or do you just wait for the Vincent to slow down?
No, you should play defensively, but like you should still do the math. And playing out an ally is it. As soon as I had like a port side, I would arsenal it. A port side or Call to the Grave. Yeah. If I could like block a bit, arsenal the port side of the Call to the Grave. Not even like keeping one more card to play it out directly, but just getting it into arsenal and then blocking with 3 cards, using the port side of the Call to the Grave and getting the ally out. That would be like the thing I would do every game. Getting something that could allow me to play an ally with only keeping 1 card in hand. And then as soon as you do an ally to discard on port side, or blue or yellow to play out your Call to the Grave, and then you block with everything else, you do it. But you actually, you do need to be playing allies when you can do it like as Gravy want to do it by making a gold or something. Because if you get a gold and you get the Gravy train kinda rolling and they ignore the ally, sometimes you can just like swing with the ally with every turn with one card and block with the rest. And she at some point has to give you some card, but you should try to threaten like some. You should ask her questions at some point in the game, not just block with everything and telling her do the setup you want and kill me, but like even putting an on-count board at some point, because you can clear it every turn and convert one card, or like crack a gold and convert the pitch, or use Gravy to cycle an ally and convert the pitch with that threat for 5. At some point, you're gonna get in a range where you can kill her, she has to give some card, or it's ineffective for her to go full face or not clearing the ally. So it's just like that. You need the only card you want to play in the matchup are allies. You don't want to be sending Murderous Swabble phase. You don't want to be playing out Conqueror of the Ices. It's a really, really, really bad card in the matchup.
Yeah.
Block with it if you can. Do not Arsenal it.
Face Purgatory it every time, and
Yeah, they will either present Face Purgatory or Crown of Providence, which in my opinion is a little bit better than Face Purgatory in the matchup. So yeah, just the only thing you want to play in this matchup is ally, and you should do everything to like set up the turn where you play one ally out and do that time after time. But yeah, think about how will I be able to play an ally at some point without sacrificing too much life, and just not like blocking everything, because the Vincent will not fact trigger herself if you give her too much space.
So what I'm hearing, you played almost 30 games against Brody, you lost only 1. Get it up there, unlosable, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the face of the Vincent player when they hear you say, I'm playing Gravy, you know it's cooked, man. This matchup is just, I would not want to be playing Vincent against Gravy.
No. For
sure. Yeah, it's really bad. I played Vincent myself for a while, and that was the hardest matchup. Like, it was impossible even if you tagged for it, like if you had additional invert existences, even if you had Pilfered Tombs, even if you had Mavrion Sky's Red, it still was so hard to win it, and most of the time, as Evan said, it was impossible to win it anyway if Gravy played properly. I think Vincent still has like 15 to 20% to win the game, but not more than that. And if they have tech, like they need tech, everything must line up well. Yeah, it's basically unlosable.
Yeah, I agree. I won't contest you guys on this one. I think it's your deck having so many blues, them not getting to clear the allies very easily. You have the dead threats to soak up extra arcane.
To be honest, it feels like the biggest issue is that you don't really have efficient ways of clearing allies.
Yeah.
And as Evan said, that every time you set up an ally, it doesn't matter how much health it has, it always soaks up a 6 power attack or more.
Yeah.
And like, if they take the risk to send the flail into a rigor mortis, they can just lose the game on the spot if you want a fearless, which is...
You basically have to take that risk every time, but if you ever get punished with fearless confrontation, it's over.
Yeah. Rough matchup. Alright, let's talk about another one, and I think this one is a bit controversial, because when I first started playing Gravy, from all the top level players, I heard a top level Gravy against a top level Kasai. It is so bad for Gravy. Gravy can almost never win this matchup, because Kasai can threaten aggro, they can threaten fatigue. Having to navigate both of the axes is like really awkward for Gravy. But recently I overheard Evan saying, I don't think I can lose against Kasai anymore. And the big reason, I heard you say, was the sloop. Can you elaborate on this? I'm really interested to hear this.
Yeah, so the history of the matchup is like, when we had 9 people, it was unlosable. When we had Chart and Remembrance, it was unlosable. When we had Remembrance only, it's like more difficult, but we still had the Remembrance to not get fatigued. And at this point, so I didn't play it before going to Shinjuku, and played against 4 of them in day 2. And it was so difficult to navigate it right now without remembrance. And like every game I was losing, I was getting the tempo. I was ahead in the game, but at some point I was like just slowing down, because with no remembrance in the deck, you can't get back your conk, and you run out of extenders and threat, and you're just playing an ally out every turn. So even if Kasai is not actively fatiguing you, at some point you're just running out of steam, and you can't set up a big enough turn if you don't have some extender to actually get to that point. And the missing piece, I felt like, was the sloop and the swell also, which was really good to clear out the Centauri soldier. But just having 3 more good extender in the deck was actually allowing me to reach the point where I could piece the last ditch leyline thing together, which I did not have in Shinjuku also. So like each time I was losing the game because I could not put a big finish together, or I could not play out my hand every turn. And because you're gonna get gold against Kasai, because your Sunkeners are always online, your Scubas are always online, Sloop is actually just a better Conqueror, because she will always have a defense reaction arsenal, or like an infinite number of armor. So it's really good to just actually being able to like send a ley line turn with a Sloop in the middle, which is less difficult than playing out a Conqueror in the middle of a ley line turn. So yeah, the Sloop was just insane, getting me 6 value of the ley line. And yeah, I think it's one of the things we discussed it a lot at the beginning, I think, with Bartosz. And I did not realize how strong it was until I got destroyed by Kasai in Shinjuku. And like having it, I did not face any Kasai in Edinburgh, but I did test against them quite a lot, against good Kasai player. And I did feel like the matchup was unlosable, would be a stretch, but like maybe I would put it in the 50 to 60%. But like if you put it in the 50%, which is reasonable, you can say that it's still like 50 plus for Gravy. How do you feel about that, Bartosz? Because I know you maybe feel like Kasai is a bit worse than me.
Yeah, well, I personally played against Kasai a long time ago, and recently I didn't have a chance, maybe once or twice. But I think what was also a good addition to help in the matchup was adding in the third Scuba. So
yeah, it was huge.
Because of what Evan said, that you always have a target, so Scuba is actually always active, and you can get the gold. And right now, the issue being consistency. If you have additional ways of generating goals, it makes it so that the deck functions better. And most of the time, if your deck functions, it's all you need. But as well as adding the slopes, like just having ways to spend your hand efficiently, makes it so that against warriors, you are actually much better off than setting up double ally turns, because all the warriors have a much easier time clearing 2 allies whenever you put them out than any other hero, because they have much easier access to go again. They either have 2 weapons, as is the case for Fang and Kasai, or have 1 weapon, as is the case for Dawnblade Dori, but she can swing it twice because of her ability. So it's never an issue for them if you double ally. And Sloop is basically as if you've played out a Rigor Mortis and gave it go again with Avasti, and then had Ram at the ready to swing with the second ally. You get all the benefit without any need to commit a lot of resources, and basically having to sculpt your hand perfectly to be able to do that. And that I feel like that was the missing piece to solve the warrior matchups. Warrior matchup after getting the Tibbles and Chart banned. So I would say it's in the 50-60% range. Maybe I would even give it 60%. I haven't played it myself recently, but all the new additions, whenever I compare the matchup now to before against Warriors, it was really good to have a lot of cheap damage that was leaking through whenever you were sending Tipples. and that was what was making the matchup actually good back then, because warriors are good at defending and at clearing, but have a tough time if you send a lot of small attacks with different breakpoints, because they have armor, they have the dynamo, but they don't really have a lot of defensive tools per se, because they still need to keep some cards to clear your allies. And again, the fatigue angle is real here, so you need to bring additional stuff. And especially against Dory, it was an issue that you were forced to somehow reset the Dawnblade, but at the same time, she was so efficient at clearing allies. Sloop is able, like, Tipus were doing that back then, but now Sloops are doing that again, being able, not being forced to set up double ally turns to push the damage through, because you can just send a small attack, small conqueror, and deal enough damage to be able to then lock them out of the game whenever you reach the second cycle, and you have 3 Scubas to bring back 3 ley lines in the perfect scenario, and that's enough damage to close the game out.
Yeah. This matchup is like, it boils down to you doing better math than them most of the time. Like, you have a better deck, but at some point you run out of threats, and we just needed to put more threats in the deck. Like, when you're playing out the early game, the mid game with Gravy, if you don't break horribly in the beginning, the Kasa is just so inefficient at, like, threatening damage and clearing allies that she can't really play the game until you run out of gas, and you just need to, like, correct this point, and putting more gas in the deck was the solution for that.
That's always the worst feeling against those type of matchups where you only can play one ally and attack with it. It just does nothing because they block out the ally and they clear it, and it's like you have to start all over again. But it's alright. So you guys agree it's 60% here, or should I put it at 50?
I feel like a 60.
60%. That's quite interesting.
We'll
I hear
see in both.
someone in the chat saying, curious about the Ziggy matchup. This is an interesting one as well to me, because Evan, you have played this matchup against Jason Rolf last Cunning Anningberg, and you won it. What do you think?
Can I go on a bit of a tangent here, like story time?
Stage is yours. Story time.
So, like, I was kind of scared, and I think I messaged Bartosz the day before and the day during I was supposed to play against Jason, because he actually played against the Gravy at the end of round 7 on day 1, and he kind of destroyed him. Like, it wasn't close at all. He finished on like 10 or 15 life, and the Gravy was fatigued. And this was such a crazy, like, big difference of life.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this matchup is kinda cursed. And then I watched the game 2 times. It was like 2 hours where I just did that in my bed.
Okay,
And
that's dedication, by the way.
I was like, the Gravy played kinda loose at some point, because like 3 Scubas were played out without swinging with them, and that was like the main thing, which is theoretically like 15 to 18 lost values. But when I reached day 2 and it was the round 2 I played against Jason, I was kind of stressed because I never played against like a good Ziggy player on Iris with like all the new list and the thing that did well in the last few calling. And then I tried to ask him at the beginning how he felt about the matchup. I was like so stressed about it. Like, I feel really bad into it. So the game started, and I was really stressed, kind of awkward maybe in the game, just feeling, because I didn't really know what to do. But then I played like at some point turn 3 a Chum, and he couldn't clear it, and then like the game was finished at that point. It just snowballed completely, because every time I put the Charm, he couldn't clear it really effectively. I was like, but this deck is really shit at clearing ally, actually, because it has a lot of no block. So if you send a Conk or loot the all, he has to give a lot of cards to actually block the disruption, and then he really doesn't have the card to clear a chump. So what I would do is just try to make double ally turn as much as I could, or just play a big turn and a chump at the end, and I would just give him tempo a lot of time. Like I was like, what can you do with 5 cards? You presented 66 cards and a lot of defense reaction, and you will play out a bunch of ward on the board. And like I was like, it's like 3 wards, and he has Iris, and he would swing some amount of go again. But like even if they have Iris, because they're playing a lot of defense reaction, they have to choose each turn if they want to set up more auras on the board, do you some more damage, and sometimes they just have a bunch of red. So like when you give them back tempo, they actually do nothing with it. Like they will swing a bit, and you can block. Like you just can block 3 on the Iris, set up a bunch, and maybe they will get 2 ward on the board. And each turn it's like 2 more wards, or maybe 3. And maybe you can wait until they get to 4 or 5 and set up a big turn. And yes, they have 5 wards on the board, but you just do a big line turn. And I was doing that, like just setting a bit and giving him back a lot of tempo. And what he told me at the end of the game, because he did a big Gone in the Flash turn at some point, like he drew a hand that converted Gone in the Flash 4 times, I think, with the boots, which is like, you think it's insane, because it shouldn't happen, that kind of deck that you drew all the instant and you can actually convert because you have so much defensive tool. But he was like at the end telling me, I wish I didn't draw that hand, because like I expended so much resources to try to kill you, but I know I can't kill you. So like the deck just can't really threaten to kill you at any point, because you can
the defensive nature.
Yeah. You shouldn't worry too much about Iris, because they can't really protect the board if you put together big ley line or big conk turn. So like you just block a bit with the sunken and everything. You set up big turns, and then just worry about fatigue against Iris. They will not do anything against. They will not do anything with the tempo you give back to them. In some limits, like don't give them 5 turns, please. Like giving them 2 turns is like fine.
So where would you place it, knowing this? You were very scared at first?
Yeah, I played 1 game against it. I was like, I'm not losing this matchup.
Okay, unlosable. Boom.
Unlosable.
I like
100%.
I like that. 100% win rate. I see Florin in the chat. Florin Malaxi is a huge fan of Betsy, which is a deck that has been rising up a lot more since Pro Tour Las Vegas. 2 of them were in the top 8. To me, it seems like this matchup should be good, because it's a Guardian. Oh wow, Florin now commented, Gravy is free for... Gravy is free for Betsy. No need to ask. Okay, I'm very curious now. What do you guys think about Betsy? I know Bartosz before this meeting played some Betsy and he had some things to say. What do you think, Bartosz? What do you think about Betsy matchup?
Yeah, I think Bartosz can say some really interesting.
Well, to be honest, I thought it would be much easier, but it actually is, I would say, a hard matchup. I think it might be even harder than playing against Jarl, because the thing with Betsy is, especially whenever she will get the new shoe from the Olympia deck, I believe, the one that you can pay 1 mana to gain 1 block on it whenever she wins a wager, and how log is worded, it works against allies. So basically, she always wins a wager to get a gold. And if your hands don't line up, she will basically be able to, every 3 turns, clear an ally using only one card, because she will have Tuning Up. Whenever she doesn't have Tuning Up and you don't force her hand, she can just pitch 2 cards, clear an ally, that's not a champ, and get 1 life back from the shoe. And otherwise, if she has any amount of gold, she can just try to high roll the blue off the top, and if it's there, she can just again 1 card and use a gold, clear any of the allies. So most of the time she will be clearing an ally with only using 1 card from her hand, and she can use all the rest to the defense, as well as she has tools to be able to threaten you. Like the clock from the log is pretty strong, like, and pretty fast, because it's seven overpower. You don't really have good ways to deal with overpower, because Base of the Mountain only works against dominates.
Yeah.
If you try to use Base of the Mountain against overpower, it fails, because like the restriction still applies. You can only block with one action card. So so overpower actually counters the Base of the Mountain. So we don't really have good ways to use it. But she can be running Butter to a Pulp, give it overpower, and then we don't really have any good ways to deal with it. At the same time, if you ever try to, like I said, if you ever try to set up too much, she can just log you over and over again. And if you have a lot of off turns, you will basically give her a lot of room to just smack you a few times, and then you might get in range. She never gives you priority if she just chooses to swing the log at you. So you might get into the range pretty fast, and she's pretty efficient at clearing allies. I think we'll need to play more games of that, especially with the new shoe coming out. But it might not be as good for the gravy as Mr. Malaxi in the chat is saying.
He's saying the
Alright.
opposite. Maybe it's free for Betsy.
It's free for Betsy. He called us out.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think the boots are really
What's the
good
boots
for Betsy.
called?
It's like when you win a wager, you can pay one, and
It's a tough question.
it's
I'll
Dynamo.
look it up in the background. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. Steph,
But yeah, but when we talk about it in the beginning, you told me you were only running 12 allies against Betsy.
Oh yeah, but that could have been a skill issue, a pilot issue. So
No, I'm not sure it's a pilot issue. I think it's just a sideboard issue.
it might be the case. Maybe I was also too scared of getting my compass destroyed. But I for sure think that Betsy will be one of the best decks, and she for sure has good tools to be able to deal with Gravy, because she can still have a lot of hate in the sideboard, have pilfers, have maybe the small go again attacks that create goals on hit.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name from the heavy hitter. So she has good ways of clearing allies.
performance bonus.
Yeah, performance bonus. She's one of the few heroes that actually never have an issue with clearing Cham, because if she's forced to, she can just ignore the fact that you can have Fearless in hand and just one card clear the Cham. If not, she can overpower and guarantee that she, using only 2 blues, she clears the Cham, and you don't really have any answers for that. As well as she can run, I think all the lists are running Sense Weakness, and if she ever just, and if you build up a big board, she can play Sense Weakness, give overpower to the log because she will wager it as well, and
Yeah, it will be a lock for 8.
yeah, and the attack that is both dominated and overpowered is, it's basically you need blood in the water to be able to counter it. Otherwise, it's gonzo.
GG, yeah.
Yeah.
I have the boots here now. It's so funny because they released in the Olympia Armory deck. They are actually the only card there that are a Guardian/Warrior equipment. That looks very good against Gravy, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good boost against Gary. I don't know. I didn't play enough games against a good Betsy player to actually know what the matchup is about. My feeling is that I will never get fatigued by a Betsy. Like it shouldn't be possible because they don't have like any good sources of go again except like E-Strike, and then they have to keep some more card to swing the log. So you shouldn't get fatigued by any Betsy, I feel like. So what I would do is just sideboard. I would sideboard all my allies with all the blood in the water, like the 3 of them, in the deck, to just be able to like have enough allies to put them on the board and double allies and everything, and just ask a question to Betsy, like, do you want to clear my allies or swing face? If you want to clear, it's fine for me because I'm getting my defensive value out of the allies. And then if you go face, I have 3 blood in the water in the deck that, because I'm playing so many allies, will convert for 6 defensively. So I should be able to like block out the sense weakness or the batter to a pulp if you're running that. So yeah, I don't have enough games to actually be sure about that. But that was my feeling, was that it was still I would rather play against Betsy than against Jarl, but I would trust Bartosz on like the current evaluation of Betsy.
So what is the vibes here? What's it? I'm hearing
For now it's a 50-50 because
50-50.
we have no idea.
Either
But
good or bad.
we'll work on that.
I mean, if we want to be like faithful to the stats, it should be in 60%.
Okay.
It should probably be in 60 or 70%.
And better than.
And I feel like, yeah, I do feel like putting it in 50% is kind of.
It's a cop out.
Yeah, not sure about that.
60 it is.
Interesting. All right, another matchup that I'm really curious about, and I've actually played yesterday. I hear Hala in the chat. Let's do Hala after this one. But that's a deck that's been rising up. I play a lot against Lucas Oswald, and it's Aurora. So, what do you guys think about the Aurora matchup? I thought it was super good for Gravy because Aurora has a lot of 0-for-4s. They have to clear the allies with them. But then I played against Lucas, and I found out one very interesting thing, and it's that Arc Lightning can target allies. Yikes! Rigor Mortis doesn't like that for sure. But also Chum.
It's bad.
Yeah, if you play an Arc Lightning, you target Chum. You play for Go again into Chum. The ping at Chum as well. Wow, that's already really strong. And like the quick successions and stuff, I don't know. I'm feeling it might not be as favored as I thought. But what are your guys' opinions on this? I know Bartosz has built Aurora. What do you guys think?
I played against it in the in the PT on stream.
Okay.
And you can see what happens when the Aurora draw the 3 Arc Lightning in 5 turns. You can't win.
Wow.
I don't.
You lost it. You actually lost it.
Yeah, it was like a 20 at the end of the game. It destroyed me.
Wow.
Like I played at some point. I'm like, I got the tempo back. I'm gonna play Chum Scuba. You play Arc Lightning, Snatch. Like Arc Lightning, Snatch, Snapdragon. Like it cleared my 2 allies for just no cards. I was like, okay. No, I feel like this matchup is it's a 50-50 for me because it's like they have some good interaction with what you can do because they have access to Go against Snatch and Arc Lightning, and some of them are running Promise of Plenty also. Like he was running that in the PC.
That's great. Yeah.
Like if you run that, it's probably a little bit better, but it's not that common. But yeah. So basically, when they see a bunch of those cards, especially in the early game, it's really difficult to win.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of other time, when you put Chum on board, they just have no good way for getting rid of him. And like they have some breaking hands, and if they break a hand, then you can convert a conk or something. It just feels really back and forth, and some games the Gravy I roll the Aurora out of the game, and some games it's the opposite. So I just don't like playing it because it doesn't feel like really interesting to play. It just boils down to if the Aurora is a Snatch and Arc Lightning.
Right.
What do you feel about it? Because yeah, you played some Aurora also.
Well, my Aurora build differed vastly because I was on some amount of 1-cost attacks. I had gone in a flash, but I think it should be, well, against any aggro deck right now, Gravy is struggling, so I think it's fair to put it in a 50-50 bracket, as like all the aggro decks have good tools to deal with the allies and with Gravy because they have both on hits and go against, easy access to go against. Aurora also has Scorpio, which is insanely efficient at clearing Rigor Mortis, and as well as just dealing a lot of chip damage because as Gravy you don't have a lot of equipment, and especially against Aurora, you will need to use up one of your slots for the Arcane Barrier as well. So Scorpio will basically, as was the case in the Omen's draft, start connecting from turn 2 or 3. So whenever Aurora finishes on it, you basically have to subtract 2. But at the same time, Gravy has tools to deal with aggro decks because we have defense reactions, we have Conquerors of the High Seas, we have Loot the Holds. So I think it's pretty even. As Evan said, he got demolished by Arc Lightning, so probably the best bet for Gravy is not to see too many of them from opponent's side.
Yeah.
And it should be fine. If there are many Arc Lightnings present in the game, then unlucky.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't really control that, which is
Yeah.
it just does some of those matchups. I rather play against the Dovintia than play against an Aurora because I feel more in
wow.
control. I just like to feel in control in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We got a load of suggestions here in the chat. We got
Yeah, I
Hala,
saw.
Fire after Hala, Fang after Fire. Okay, let's start with Hala, the first one. Got a lot of upgrades in Mastery Pack Warrior.
Yeah, but Bartosz has a lot of knowledge on Gravy Ala, so he will be able to help us putting it in the right spot. Yeah, you have a lot of knowledge. Go for it.
Do I? Well, maybe. I think I've played some games against Hala and it felt unlosable.
Okay.
And I think that should still be the case because, well, she's like Dory, but she doesn't have Dawnblade, and basically not a lot of real ways to interact with your allies and threaten you. She basically has to go for the fatigue angle because not other real options are there for her. So I think it's much easier to play against her. And if you compare that matchup to Kasai or Dorinthia, she doesn't have nearly as many tools that would help her to swing the tempo. So it's basically similar to as you would be playing against Ziggy. Like not many ways to clear your allies. Oh yeah, also that's coming out. Thwart will be soon with us, and then it's even better for us. So but it's basically the same case as with Ziggy. Not many good ways to clear our allies. She can't ever kill us. Yeah, unlosable. I would say.
Unlosable, wow. I mean, I guess you should maybe know of it because I think the Polish guys played Hala at PT Las Vegas and did fairly well with her. I think they cashed or made top 32.
They have a block slop list that is
Wow.
running a lot of like it's six. Yesterday I was comparing it while talking with a friend to RKO because it's basically if you compare RKO to Hala, that Hala list is basically the same. Like it's sirens, all of the defense reactions, Fiddler's Green, and the best class cards you have, and that's not many, so that's why you choose to run all the good generic cards.
Be honest, just Hala is just one of the worst deck you can play in Flesh of Blood right now. So.
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And the upgrades don't help you, I think. It's like this is a deck that made where's the rank 50? So it cashed the Pro Tour. And they got a lot of upgrades. You guys really don't think there's anything that's
I mean, you shouldn't play deck that like instantly lose to a big portion of the like most play deck. Like when you tag an Ocilio, for example, with this, you can like go take a lunch break.
OCC, this deck runs nine Edicts of Steel, and you know what's the case for RKO? He's running 9 copies of Mocking Blow, because that's the level the deck is at. I think it's getting
a good card.
Yeah, well, that is a good card. Edict of Steel is also a good card, but
yeah.
Well, we had 9 Tipus as well at some point, but don't think I think the deck is pretty solid and it will have its spot to shine. as a real deck, like using real cards. But for now, the best choice for you is to just take your opponent off guard if they don't know that the majestic card exists, the blue one that allows you to swing again. Beacon of Steel, I believe, is the name.
Yeah.
So like that deck is
Yeah.
solely focused on setting up Beacon of Steel and resolving it, because otherwise it doesn't really have a good ways of closing out the game.
Wow, you
Yes,
just declared war on your countrymen by saying.
What can I say? Like, I don't know why people enjoy fatigue slopes, but somehow
Yeah.
they do. And
But to go back on Gravy, if like you face a deck that can only really fatigue you, because Ally is not going to kill you, she has a tougher time to deal with Ally than Dorinthia, and she doesn't scale on them. So she will not threaten to kill you. She will almost always try to fatigue you. You're playing against one of the worst deck at fatiguing you, because you can just do anything you want, set up as much as you want, and you can follow the leyline flowchart and just select the greediest option and do the biggest turn at the end. And like no deck that give you space to like do 40 damage at the end of the game is gonna win against you.
Yeah.
So with Gravy, you face Ally, you assume they will try to fatigue you. You play maybe one of the new block from the Mastery Pack Warrior, because you have one for Dorinthia in the deck, and it's unlosable.
You said the flow chart. Can I share that with the stream?
Oh, yeah,
You
just
sent it.
share it. Share it.
It's like that is a very good indicator of the
yeah, we should
So-
maybe post it in the free section. We should open this section in the meta file for people to see, maybe.
I mean, we should like
this
post it on Twitter or something. Just the
Yeah,
flow
somehow
chart, because it's
showcase it.
so. It's just like so.
It's
So cool
basic
to look
math,
at.
so it's not anything.
Do you want me to send it to you, Paul?
Yeah, I have it here. I'm just trying to get it to here, for example. Here, this is something, right? This is the flow chart.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty readable, I think, even if you don't have the guide. It's like the number of cards you need at the beginning of the turn. It's like you need a 5-card hand, some amount of blue in it to actually dig your deck and get to 0 card in deck to make a last ditch effort online. And then after that, you just have some combination that are the first are kind of easy to make. Like the first one with 2 leyline sloop, Eldir and Rigor Mortis Engrave. So you need the 5-card, 4 gold, and a bunch of blue. You should start with the maximum number of blue you can, the 5 blues, and blue in the deck. And if you only have blue in your deck, you just crack all the gold in the 4. You get to 0 card in deck, and you can send everything with the 2 leyline in the beginning, which is 42 damage. So it's a pretty big turn to close out the game. If your opponent should be at like 5 or 10 life at this point.
It's like
And
Kano
it's still
numbers, these. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Basically.
Kind of
And
funny.
that's
Gravy
like
can
the-
output this.
That's like the smallest turn, because if you go down, these are the greedier line that you actually want to set up against decks like Ala that will only want to fatigue you. You can't really do anything else. But also, if you face, for example, if you face a Betsy that is actually just only clearing your ally, which can happen. Like some Betsy are still playing Titan's Fist in the sideboard. You should try to set up something like this, because it's pretty easy and they can't really disrupt it. And then you go for the 41 damage. So it's like you need 8 gold, only blues in the deck, and the cards. Like you have the blues and plus the sloop, last ditch, and red swell, and your deck is only blues with the Rigor Mortis Engrave. You crack the 8 gold, and then you can do the 41 damage by just playing out the card. And it's pretty easy to get to 8 golds with the Lone Shark, the 3 scoops in the deck. And 41 damage is should kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can probably kill them 2 times over with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you leak damage as well. You have the hook triggers to make even more gold. I really enjoyed this. And it's also
Yeah,
so
it's a fun piece.
flexible. 1 LDE and it enables this whole turn.
Yeah, you can do like you can do a lot of different things. You just take this as an example of some lines you can do, and after that you just need to know like the math. Like every time you want one more card in the combo, it's 3 more gold. Because if you have only blues in the deck, you just each time you crack a gold, you gain one more resources, and if you need more resources, you need 1 more gold. If you only have blue in the deck, then if you draw yellow, it's pitch neutral, so you need also 1 more gold, etc. If you draw red, it's -1, so you need 2 more gold to get back to the thing. It's like you just need to understand that, and you can pretty much do a lot of things. Really, it's
Yeah.
really flexible.
And this is in the guide, guys, the Metafy guide Bartosz and Evan just released. There's a lot more like these images in there.
Yeah,
so
we
it's, like,
we try to
really-
put some visual information. I feel like we talked about it with Bartosz prior to the stream or going forward. If we write more guide, and I think we really want to do it. I felt like writing the guide just was so interesting for me to just organize what I knew about
Yeah.
the deck and how to play Gravy. But like it was really helpful, and I would like to do it more. And next
Nice.
time we're talking about maybe getting some videos in there of like some lines, some games
Yeah.
to have a lot of more visual information, because it's so much easier to just look at something to understand it than reading and processing it and then translating it into something you can understand.
For sure. I would love to see you guys making more content. And I bought the Metafy. I really liked it. I have to read some parts again. But on to the next in the line. I think it's Phi. And this was kind of funny to me because in US Nationals, a Phi played Gravy, Colin Erickson versus what the name was.
I think he played against 2, one in top 8 and one in top 4.
Gump was one of the name.
Matthew Gump and Ashlyn?
Ashley, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Sorry,
but
forgot the last name, but that showed something very interesting to me. And I would say this matchup isn't that great for Gravy when I first saw it. But then Matthew Gump, I think, went first. Colin Erickson went second immediately. Leyline, blue tipple, discard Sawbones, play Sawbones, attack for 8. And I was like, this might not be the best example of the matchup. But then I played a little bit more. And I actually think that Gravy has a lot of play against Phi. Of course, they have the combo turn with like the Art of Phoenix War, but I don't know. It feels more playable. What am I wrong here? What are you guys thinking?
I have some experience on the matchup, so I can say it's for sure much easier than playing against Syndra, because they are not constantly triggering Mask of Momentum every turn, so you actually have a lot more time to set up. Phi is the deck that actually needs to Arsenal to have good turns to be able to push a lot of damage through. They can play out of 4 random cards off the top most of the time, so they are much more prone to getting conquered. They block less on average than Syndra, so another case that it's much easier to connect Loot the Hold against them, even though they have more equipment block. But they will be using up the equipment pretty fast, and then all your on hits will basically be connecting. So, and also if you ever get Sunken Treasure into your hand early on, and they have to attack with something first, if they need to commit the whole card to pick up Phoenix, they can really play around it. Like Syndra can wait with the flick. With Phi, you just have to send all you got and hope that they don't have it. And if they have it, maybe you have the blue, so you don't lose as much of value in that turn cycle. But more often than not, it will be the case. So overall, it's much easier than Syndra, both because of the pressure that Phi exerts is not as constant, and it's not as strong. It's explosive, but not as strong on average. And at the same time, your tools work much better against him than against Syndra.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing, and like that's a great point of divergence with the Syndra matchup, is that you should try to keep your Conqueror around, like arsenaling it and being greedy with them, which is something you never want to do against Syndra. But against Fire, you want to do that because you're not in any trouble as long as he doesn't get to like keep his arsenal around for the perfect turn where he will go like 30 plus damage with Punsing and Art of Phoenix, etc. You can like mitigate a little turn of Art of Phoenix because you have Balance and Flexor in this matchup. But if they get to convert 5 cards during that turn with Punsing, you are in trouble. So arsenaling a conk and waiting for the right turn might be something you can do that you wouldn't do against Syndra. But yeah, I feel this matchup is much easier.
Yeah, another big thing is that Fight doesn't really have any on hits, so you are not ever in like the only threat he can present is basically some lists are running Snatch, I believe, and
Mounting
there's
Anger?
Warmongers. And there's Warmongers, of course. Which one?
Mounting Anger, the 4 Gogan on hit.
Yeah, but
they're
like
running that.
one damage on hit is like it is an on hit, but not really something you need to be afraid of in comparison to Breaking Point, Take the Tempo, the ones that actually generate, if they connect, they generate 3+ value, and Mounting Anger generating 1 value in comparison to that, on top of having Mask of Momentum trigger every turn is, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only thing you can worry about is Warmonger because it's still backbreaking in this matchup. But you can't really do.
Warmonger is still an
Right.
issue, but that will be the case for every aggro deck, every ninja deck, because they can easily run Warmonger without any cost basically, and
Yep.
just play it at an opportune moment because at some point you will have to commit to keep your full hand to take the tempo back, and if they have it, they have it.
Yeah. So where would you guys rank it then in terms of favorability?
I would say, interesting. 50, 40, I'm not sure. 45. I would say 45 if I could. But
Okay.
I would say probably closer to 50. I mean,
Mhm.
putting it in 50 would be closer to what is actually happening in my tournaments. I played against Free Fire recently, and I won against the 3, but my game were pretty. They were like akin to what Colin Eriksson did. Like one of them was a Conqueror for 11, another was a Leyline turn early on. So it feels like a 50 for now.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well.
Especially because file lists are not refined and they feel a lot of time really clunky. I don't think the file right now are paid by like the best player or like the player that I have the time to refine the deck.
Yeah. All right. Then last one in the queue, Fang, is an interesting one because I feel like this deck can both threaten aggro and fatigue, and it's actually really good at fatiguing you as well, because if the daggers are free and they come for 4 and they get Gogan, oof, it's rough.
Yeah, for me it's like probably a bit worse than Kasai. I feel that you have more space into Kasai, which Fang sometimes it's also trickier against Fang because you really need to play a lot of the matchup because you can actually deny him the free filthy a lot of the games by being really ambitious on how you block early on and how you use your equipment. And you should try to deny him getting to free filthy as much as possible. I know that's like, yeah, that's the whole point of Fang. Like, he wants to get to free filthy, you should try to deny it. But sometimes with Gravy, you have a lot of cards that convert more offensively, and in a lot of matchups, you won't to use them offensively, especially against a matchup that could go to fatigue. But against Feng, he's not going to be able to like try to go to the fatigue plan if his start is not good enough to put you on the back foot. Because if you stay ahead in the game, especially in the early game and early mid game, you should be able to like circumvent any fatigue threats really easily. Like having space is enough against Feng to just not get fatigued. So what you should do is, deny him the mark as much as possible. And even if you are marked, and at some point will give him the final fealty, you should still try to like block for a few turns and push back the turn where he gets to free fealty at all cost, because in his hands are so clunky. If he has to clear ally during the turn and he has to pitch, it's really difficult for him. So yeah, I would say it's a little bit worse than Kasai, because when he gets online, and it can happen some game without you doing, without you being able to do anything. It's probably like, because you're less in control, we should put it probably one tier below Kasai. I feel more confident into especially also because like you need to play Scuba against Feng to not get fatigued, but your Scubas are not online as much, so they get much worse in the early game where you need to play an amount and swing with them. So yeah, I don't know what Battlefield think. I don't think it's like I'm still happy to see a Feng. Like I feel it's 50% and maybe a bit in favor for Gravy. So I would not put it under.
Well, in Copenhagen, in top 4, I actually lost to Fang, so I might not be the best person to speak up on the topic. But I think in that game I overboarded on the anti-fatigue stuff instead of just focusing on the main game plan. But as it was mentioned, that Fang is really good at being able to hedge both killing you and fatiguing you. And if he gets online really quick, the damage stacks up pretty fast because of all the additional value he gets from being able to one card clear basically all the allies and sometimes send something face as well. So it can ramp up pretty fast. So as Evan said, it's really tough to navigate the matchup because of all the things, and especially Scuba not guaranteeing you getting a gold makes it so that it's much harder to play efficiently. And sometimes if you break and they get early marks on and actually are able to connect them, it gets rough.
Yeah.
Also, the sloops are really good also in this matchup. It's one of the matchup where it shines a lot because it's better to have, as we said, physical attack action extenders that threaten damage overrate than trying to play double ally turn, because he can Feng can usually one card clear a double ally turn we do with Rigor Mortis, which is really bad.
Alright, 50% for Fang. Then the next one, Vashnarod said, speaking of fatigue slop, I'd ask about Huntsman, but I already know the answer. Huntsman is a deck that has been rising up a little bit, and in Edinburgh I think it got almost top 16. No, Pablo also played this deck during Toulouse. Seems like it's at the Fab Blazing stats of Pro Tour Las Vegas. This deck had the highest win rate, which was kind of surprising to me.
It's quite insane. It can be story time again for me. I have two.
Okay, back to stage.
Not two. I mean, I have like a comparison between the two extreme of Huntsman. So in the PT, where I was playing, I think not my greatest iteration of the deck list for my Gravy. I was playing a lot more allies than we were playing now. I played against Huntsman, and I was like, he starts, I will play base because I play so many allies in the deck and I don't want to get swamped. And he attacked me and I have like 4 allies in hand. I'm like, oh, great. I put the base, put all my allies in front of the dagger. So then I start the game quite ahead with 4 allies in grave. Yeah. But the like 4 following turns, because we were playing like 18 or 19 allies in this list, I drew every allies of my deck, and every turn was just like, what am I doing? And I could just like play allies from hand, and I got so punished because I was playing against Huntsman that was running 3 Pilfer, 3 Gravekeeping, and 3 Unmake. So I basically lost almost half of, like almost half of this card converted to actually getting allies out of my deck for free.
Wow.
Which it went quite wrong, and that's this game, because it was the game that I went 6-0 in draft, and that was my first game. I lost this game at the end. Besides all that, he had only 1 card left in deck, and he was at 1. So I still could have won this game probably if I played it tighter at some point. So even if you play like Huntsman with all
Right.
tech
9
against
slots for Gravy, yeah.
against a Gravy that is not running the best list, is still quite doomed. But yeah, at this point I was like, I'm never punting that many allies in my deck, and in the metafile you can actually read about what we think about running too many allies and what the ideal number is, and what you should actually try to be running as little as possible right now, especially for the fatigue, because what happens is you get swamped by allies, and in matchups such as Huntsman, it's really bad to have turn where you get swamped, because they can just get allies out of your deck by attacking your face, out of your grave by converting the Unmake. So we corrected that with the list for Edinburgh, running much lower count of allies, and playing the Swell, the Sloop, etc. And so I played against a Huntsman in day 2, and I just destroyed him. It was like insane, or just having a deck that runs having a deck that runs smoothly and is flexible against the fatigue is much more important than running like 20 fatigue tools in your deck, everything you want for fatigue, because usually these tools are really bricky and need some setup. So if you draw too many of them in the early game, you give space to your opponent for killing you, setting some disruption, getting allies out of your grave, etc. Like, you enabling all the decks to be online. So by just having a smoother deck with Sloops, Swell, like more attack action, and the Leyline plan at the end to do a lot of damage, it was just much better, because I was just playing the game for most of the time, like sending extenders, sending true damage at my opponent, like being unrate or overrate most of the game. And Huntsman is really bad at clearing allies, so if you just do that all game and have the finishing turn with the Leyline thing, you should win against Huntsman pretty easily. Just be careful with like the obvious thing. Do not use Gravy to Astile if you think you can get hit by the defense reaction, things like that.
All right.
So in that matchup, you are really favored, but it's a technical matchup. Like, you need to know what to do in some cases. Like, you need to be mindful that they have Hunted or Hunter, and you should keep a gold and not draw discards from Gravy if possible, so you don't get your good attacks discarded. You need to be mindful that even if you double ally, then they can have coercive tendency and still have go against on the attack actions, and actually clear the board that has a few allies put out. So, but if you know all of that and you play it perfect, well, not even perfectly, but you play it correctly, it shouldn't ever be a case to win against the Huntsman.
Okay. So you guys would say unlosable then?
Yep.
Playing correctly? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, really the game in the PT where everything went wrong. He was running 9. He was running like every fatigue tool he could. He was playing maybe 18 defense reaction with unmovable, and even this game I put him to 1, and like he only had 1 card in deck. I was like, this matchup is just so bad for Huntsman.
Yeah, also for now, I would say that the case is that with the build, with Gravy, how it looks right now after the changes in comparison to how it was before, but right after the bans, it's a different deck, and now all the bad matchups are not as bad, or maybe are even good, because of all the other attack actions and you actually being able to finish your opponent off because you have ways to convert your hand and you are not stuck with allies or on a hand that can only convert into discarding an ally, playing a blue and swinging it, and not actually progressing the game.
Yeah. That's very good to hear. Yeah, looking at the matchup spread already, it's like Sidio is only Golden Flash Sidio, the Arcane Sidio is already like here. It does look pretty good. So let's do a few more because it's also getting kind of late for us. Maybe do you guys still want to play a game or should we finish this and
Maybe we should. Well, it's pretty late.
yeah.
Maybe we should finish it.
We have a
and-
question in chat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that should never happen. Because you should be able to play all game as though you will get Hunter or Hunted, or Hunted or Hunter. Like, with playing less allies in the deck, which we are doing right now, we don't have to use Gravy during the turn. We could usually be able to pitch the... Like, we just discard a card with one of our discard outlet, and then pitch the other ally to keep it in the deck, which is also good against Unmake. So if we get hit by the defense reaction, basically, it will be blind. So yeah, if you get you get your 3 ley lines banished, blind, you probably need to think of something that will put the Huntsman in uncomfortable position. So like double allying and trying to make the board snowball out of Huntsman control. But even with getting 3 ley lines banned on a lucky blind defense reaction, it's still pretty good.
It should be fine even if you get all your ley lines banished, but you need to be careful. And there are for sure some games that you will just get all your hands bricked, and you get all your good cards banished and you lose them. But that shouldn't be really happening, and it's more of an outlier than a case that or rather than the case that how the matchup goes.
I agree.
All right. Let's do a few more, and I think an interesting one that might be not as good as the ones we discussed so far is Dorinthia. I hate Dorinthia, guys. I have to say it right now. Whenever I see Dorinthia as Gravy, I just want to leave. Okay, I just want to pick up my cards and go away. But I heard, and I see this with some other Graves as well. I want to shout out Michael Feng. Whenever I see Michael Feng play against Dorinthia, he somehow always seems to win. And Evan, you also said like this deck, I feel more in control than against the other decks. Let's talk a bit about this card as well, because it's new. Let's talk about the post-Thwart Dorinthia matchup. And Thwart is a card you considered adding. What do you guys think about Dorinthia?
Are we talking about Dorinthia right now, or Dorinthia after adding this card in the deck? Okay, we can do both. If you have time.
Let's do both. Whatever you want to, however you want to take it.
Right now it's not a good matchup. We can't say that. It's not possible. Mm-hmm. But it's not unlosable. And I feel like if you know how the matchup should unfold, you actually have a lot of control in the game, and Dorinthia has a lot of way to mess it up and not play the game the way she should play it. So what you should do at Gravy is just in the early game, you try to play the allies that need to get cleared by 2 Swing of Dawnblade, like Chum. Try to chip some damage, and you play all the mid game toward the reset turn, where you will use all your equipment with Base of the Mountain to turn off Reprise, Crown of Providence to sync before activating Base to block with the worst card possible.
I never knew about that. That's insane interaction, by the way. You can stack the triggers So you draw with Providence first, and then you banish it to base. That's insane, man. Oh,
This was one of the reason to play Providence in the deck. It's actually really, really important against
wow.
Dorinthia.
That's-
So you play all game toward that, try to reset, and like that's the only part in the game where it's not in your control. If she has the twinning, if she has an innate go again that doesn't need an on it,
Yeah.
and twinning blade, you can lose the game on the spot.
Yeah.
But if you succeed in resetting the Dawn Blade at this point, it becomes a fatigue game where you have to actually find a way to kill the Dorinthia. So it's like you chip damage and slow the game down a bit in the beginning, reset the Dawnblade, and after that the Dorinthia can't really kill you, so she will pivot to fatigue.
Yeah.
So you need to play all game toward that end point. Like you know that you're gonna try to reset at some point, and after that you need to have some plan to finish the game. And for that you have the Leyline turn. So you need to keep a lot of gold to actually reach that end game. You need like more gold than in other matchup because you would like to finish the game earlier than most of the matchup, and you want to keep doing that. But also having the more attack action, like more sloops, more swell, is really good against Dorinthia because she will give you a lot of space in the beginning. Like she's not gonna be able to effectively clear your ally efficiently and then swing face. So having the sloop, having the swell, having the Leyline combo for the fatigue plan, you're actually in control of almost everything. And then there is the reset in the middle of the game, which is the thing where you're not in control and which makes this matchup still bad right now. So right now I would put it like at 30%, maybe a little bit more, because I feel Syndra is worse than 30%. So like 30% for Dorinthia. But if we talk about the new card, like what is the problem in what all I've just said? It's the reset turn. It's where you actually need to get all like the 5-6 counter out of the Dawnblade because you're getting killed.
Yeah.
But look at this card. It says reset the Dawnblade. So like you reach this mid game point where what the Dorinthia has been doing all game is just building a Dawnblade, and she needs to do that to actually at some point try to kill you, and you just put the Trout in front of that, and she has to do it all over again. The issue is she can't do it all over again because you have enough extender to put her in lethal range quick enough. So what she will do is try to fatigue you most of the time now. So we need to play around getting fatigued more if we have this in the deck because we can reset the Dawnblade more easily. And with Gravy, when you start to become an experienced Gravy player, you know that any fatigue game is a game that you're happy to play with Gravy because it is heavily favored for you.
Yeah. So one thing that I wanna ask you here is Thwart is a block card, so you can't Arsenal it. How can you like plan? Because like the equipment, like the base of the mountain, the crown of province, is actually something you can plan for because it's on the battlefield. Like you can choose when you do it. You can choose when you, because to do the reset turn, you also have to play You have to not play an ally. You have to attack with a conqueror. You have to attack with a sloop, etc. So they have to attack you or just pass, which they'll probably attack you. But Thwart, you cannot really play into it. How would you say you use this card?
Want to talk about it, Bartosz? Because I think we. Or should I? I mean, I have some information on like what I want to do with this card.
Okay.
Because it's less omnipresent because you can actually draw it on the turn where you would like to block with it idly, which is like when Dorinthia reaches 4 or 5 counter on the Dawnblade. The thing is, you should never IP yourself in a game where the opponent is actually trying to kill you. Like it's not something you should do. So this card is just you should just block with it when it comes up if the Dawnblade has a few counters on it, and then you can actually scoop out a card and like call to the grave, shuffle it back in the deck. Yeah, you should just block it out when it comes up. It's good enough to just reset 2 or 3 counter on the Dawnblade, and you still have the base of the mountain available. So it's like just bonus in your deck, but it's pretty big because you're getting good value out of the card and putting a big stop to the Dorinthia snowballing the game out of your control.
Right.
Yeah, you still have the main game plan that Evan thought about, that you can do the big reset turn. That is just an added bonus that you can then get back with scoops if needed. From my experience in that matchup, I played a lot of games with Grzegorz. Whenever we were preparing for calling Copenhagen, it was a different gravy build, but what the matchup is about, it's really technical from both sides, and both players, both Dorinthia and Gravy player, have a lot of ways, a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and going deep into the matchup is actually really fun to play it out, because both sides have a lot of tools at their disposal to swing the game in their favor. So if it's two experienced players playing against each other, there's a lot of stuff going on during the game. But what I mean to say in short is that the matchup is really technical, and you need to practice it to actually succeed in beating Dorinthia. As even getting to that reset turn, as Evan said, you need to play out different allies at any point of the game. You need to be actively setting up the second cycle, but not overcommitting to that, because you need to be actually pressuring your opponent into giving up some of your cards, because otherwise, at any point during the game, if they have a lot of counters on the Dome Blade, they can just threaten to kill you. So a really tough matchup, but if you know what's going on, if you have enough practice, it's really fun to play, because a lot of stuff happening during the game, a lot of interesting decision points.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And if you feel uncomfortable in this matchup and you expect it to show a bit more, maybe in the next few callings, because Master Play Acquire is just out, you can play maybe 2 of the new block card. But basically, it is a good card, but it also like simplifies the matchup a lot, because you don't have to set up the reset turn as much, because some game will just go well and you will draw the block when you need it.
When I go to a Pro Quest, I don't know if any Dutch people are watching this time, but I will play 3 of this card, okay? I won't play 2, I will play 3 at everyone I go to. So don't play Dorinthia,
Crazy.
okay? I'm traumatized and I'll play 3 of this card. So
I mean, it is really impactful. So like, if you expect a lot of Dorinthia, you should play at least 2.
Yeah.
Only if you know.
Also, really strong card against Hala.
Against
Yeah,
Hala, yes.
Hala, like one of the best deck in the meta to come, right?
Be careful,
Alright.
guys.
Although this card is kind of bad against for us as well, because Moray Le Fay is dead, guys. As
Yeah,
great.
we lose probably our best ally. The only thing that allowed us to win against Fatigue. So yeah, probably difficult then.
We'll need to figure out a new way to deal with that.
Maybe playing Gallo. Gallo and Bubaloba.
And Bubaloba is also dead, guys. No more counters.
Alright, yeah.
So okay, where do we place Dorinthia? I heard like a little bit better than Syndra. 40% sound good?
Well, we don't have a 30% tier, so let's just put her in the 40% tier.
Yeah, right now it's
especially with that word. Yeah, it should be. 40.
It should be 40.
Let's put her in 40 for now.
Okay.
And when we have a few more win into Dorinthia, we'll put it into the 70% with 40.
All right, guys, we have 20 minutes left before we close the stream. I think we have to talk about Dio, because Dio just kind of deserves it. If you guys have any more suggestions of a matchup you really want to hear about that should be relevant as well, put it in the chat. I heard Katsu, which is probably interesting. We can maybe fit in one more. But in the meantime, let's talk about Dio. And I'll share a bit of my experience with Dio. We have a player in the Netherlands called Jaap Elst. Really good Dio player. I can never win a game against his Dio. He somehow always seems to win. But at a calling level, I find it very hard to lose against Dio because I just fatigue them every single time. I don't know. I just block it. Even like decent Dios, I fatigue. But yeah, Jaap keeps saying to me, this is a very good matchup for Dio. I believe him. Against Jaap, I cannot win. Any other Dio can get it because I will win by fatigue.
I think I will not say that Joe is a really good match. Gravy is a really good matchup for Joe. I think it's Gravy favored.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree that like if you play most of the time against like decent duo player, you should fatigue them really easily.
Mm-hmm.
Enkai is really good. Chum is really good. Like it's really easy to win most of the time against Dio. But I've been having a kind of same experience when playing against Sam on Dio.
Solent, yeah.
And yeah, I felt like the difference between like a good Dio player, even a really good Dio player, and like a top tier Dio player that knows exactly what resources he should keep around. Even like the equipment that the Dio are presenting against you is most of the time really, really wrong.
Yeah.
They're presenting a defensive option, like the gloves and the thing, like everything to block the disruption, which is really, really bad. What they want to present is just Crown and the Goliath, or what's the name of the other one? The one that
Belief, Bracers of Belief.
yeah, the +2 to clear a charm and the boots, because having those is really, really important to clear charm, but also circumvent getting fearless confrontation on the charm. Like you always have the boots to get you out of these kinds of situation. And yeah, I feel like the equipment is really important. The way you keep these resources available, the way you set up. I feel really, really favored into Duo, but I can't really get to this percentage of win rate against Sam. So I do feel like there is quite a bridge between Duo players and how they play against Gravy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really in your control as a Gravy player, because you should always try to fatigue the Duo in the most effective way. And yeah, it's Duo game to win, but I still think it's a Gravy favorite. Like I will put it in probably 60%, maybe more. I'm not really losing this matchup in PT and calling except against Sam. So.
But let's say it is Sam or Jaap you're playing against. How do you?
I would say 60%.
60%. Okay.
Yeah, 60% seems fair. But it's basically the matchup is on Dio's side. Whenever Dio player knows the ins and outs, then as Gravy you need to adapt, be able to set up some small turn to be able to retaliate. If they set up too much, you need to be able to punish them for that. So have Conqueror at the ready, have some other tools that allow you to disrupt them. So loot the holes, have some allies in the bin ready to be able to send the loot the hole out. There's a lot of game from Gravy's side, but it mostly boils down to what Dio does, and if you have any responses to that, and if Dio navigates it correctly, she might be able to catch you off guard and not allow you to convert your hand because you've committed too much to block. So you also should be mindful about that, both as Gravy and as Dio.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I think, that like the version of Dio can change a lot also, depending on the player and the way they play it, etc. So yeah, I don't think I have enough reps in tournament against like enough high quality Dio player to confidently put it higher than that without being kind of blind. So yeah, let's put it in 60% and
yep. Call it a day.
Like it feels favored for Gravy. I'm just not sure how favored it is and can't say that confidently.
Yeah.
Like I'm just so happy to play against Mario that I think I would play against Mario rather than play against you.
Yeah, that
this
makes
matchup is
sense.
so fair.
All right, let's talk about Katsu. I saw people in the chat say Ira, which I also think is a very interesting one.
Ira is interesting.
I can say about Katsu that we had an armory one day and I faced off against my brother that was playing Katsu in the last round. And he was, because I miscounted how can he present the hand on turn 1. I got hit by Dishonor on turn 0. So
Good job, Bartosz.
I think, yeah, I think that's what you have to be careful about while playing against Katsu. I still would say it's the matchup is in five range of win percentage wise. It's not as bad as Syndra is. Maybe 40% would be better for Katsu because he can threaten a lot of damage pretty early on. A lot of cards draw a card, or like you have Break Tide that also banishes a card, so he has a lot of options to be able to convert his hands really offensively, really fast, really early into the game. He will also have to set up as Fi, so put a card in the arsenal, but his cards block more on average. He has easier time clearing allies because he has 4/4/0s, a lot of them in the deck. And whenever he goes off with the combo of the 1/4/0 go again, that if it hits flats,
Flood of
flat of force, yeah, if Katsu sets it up and actually hits combo cards off the top, it can get nasty really quick. But you have good ways to disrupt him and prevent him from doing that. You have Loot the Holes, you have Conqueror's Steel, so taking even one card from him before he goes off to kill you is really important because it diminishes his output a lot.
Yeah, I think I agree that like it really depends on which version the Katsu is playing.
Yeah, that's also the case.
Like the clunkier, more combo version is really good into us because it's not clunky into us. It can trigger everything he wants at some point. So like having allies on board is actually pretty bad. Even playing more allies and having 2 on board is like it can trigger all the combo on the turn. It's sad, like yeah, that getting the full Flood of Force combo is. I will put this matchup in the 30% range. Yeah, it's still a clunk. 40%. Sorry.
40,
English
40,
bad. Yeah. I didn't play much against it, but we have a French player like who loves Katsu and is only playing the Flood of Force version, and it felt pretty miserable to get comboed each game.
All right, Katsu 40%. Ira. So I tested a bunch with Jimmy Nero Damers for PT Yokohama, and the matchup we were most scared to see was Ira, and his opinion on it was that Ira can threaten aggro and fatigue equally.
Equally.
It can like Ira can threaten aggro and Ira can threaten fatigue. So it's like hard to navigate around it. Like if you do a setup turn, Ira can have a really good turn back. You also have this gamble about like what version are they gonna be? Are they gonna be like Fiddler's Green, 3 Gravekeeping, or are they gonna be like Pain in the Backsides and Cut Throughs? I heard, and I personally also don't like this matchup, that this was the worst matchup. But I know, Evan, you think differently. You actually think this matchup is very playable. What can you elaborate?
I think it's akin to Kesai. At least when I envisioned how to play the matchup, I feel like it's Kesai with less armor, but some amount of disruption and more effective way of actually getting your allies cleared for like getting to clear Rigor Mortis just with Tunic. Sorry. Just with the Tunic at a several point in the game is pretty bad. Kasai can't really do this because she's running grains and she doesn't have vigor on the board at every point of the game. So it's like she always has to keep some card. Ira can reset you at different point of the game. She also is running Warmonger, which is actually I think the only thing I fear in Ira, and what would mean to me for putting it like below a Kasai is that she's able to run Warmonger, and that she's also able to like clear an ally with Kodachi and then some Gravekeeping Phase, some things like that. But overall, she doesn't have that many defensive options. So, like, she has defense reaction, but her armor is pretty thin. So at some point in the game, you'll loot deal. Your Conqueror are actually kinda bad for her. She has a lot of 2 blocks in the deck because she needs to go again to clear your board and threaten like the dual threat and everything. So you should like envision it a little bit like Kasai, but maybe less on the fatigue side because you run the risk of like the game going out of your control a little bit more in the mid game. So what I will do, I think, is running more defense reaction in this matchup. I think I was running more defense reaction and sometimes Fearless Green if I had a read that it was like a more aggro version. And then I would just put the Scubas in the deck and do the Leyline turn at the end if they try to actively fatigue me. But yeah, I would put the defense reaction and the like thing that we would put against Warrior, the Swell and the Sloop, because you want to like navigate between threatening a lot of damage and putting a clock on the Ira, taking card from her, but also being able to block some amount of disruption, value card defensively, like arsenaling your blood in the water for a long time to get 6 value out of it from the top is something I usually do a lot in this matchup. And yeah, I've been feeling much better with lower count of allies and more attack action in this matchup, like for the same reason we talk about Warrior, because double allying is pretty bad. When you get stuck with allies in the end, it's also really bad because you're gonna get chipped at. So yeah, Sloop has been really good, like I see in the chat. I also think I would like more Swell in the deck for this particular matchup. So maybe something. I think it's also true for Warrior. So like with Master Pack Warrior, maybe running more Red Swell back in the deck could be something we could do. But yeah, Ira, I think I can be spicy on this, but like I feel it's a bit worse than Kasai, but I would still put it in the 60% range. I've been getting kinda 60% result into Ira. Like I'm losing some time, but a lot of the time I feel favored into it. The only thing is probably it's less around, but I was a little bit worried that like Fatigue Ira will still be around when we lost Remembrance, but it doesn't seem to be that popular. And like if you're a part of the Scout Discord server, you don't fear anything because you know that you can sideboard the good thing.
All right. So, where would you put it as a conclusion? 60%?
Yeah, next to the Kasai seems right.
Yeah, I would put it next to Kasai.
Yeah, Ira has a lot of tools, a lot of different tools, as Evan mentioned, but it's pretty much the same matchup at its core.
Yeah, I read in the chat like comparison between Fi being easier to beat. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think it depends really on the Fi player and like the quality of his list. But playing against good Fi list, it's better to put Fi below a lot of decks in this matchup.
Darkodius, I'll give you the honor of saying your name. We saw your top 8 with Gravy. It was great. Congratulations. You definitely deserve the top 8.
Man, you should not have said name. Like he was putting so much energy in the chat.
I will say, however, what did you do against Jacob, my man? What happened there?
We shall not talk about this game. Yeah, he's leaving now. He was putting so much energy. What did you do, Paul?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Man.
He got me. He got me. That's all I have to say. All right. I think it's time to close off. I think one more fun one that we can do is we can talk about Olympia. What do you guys think? This is new hero. Does this hero give us any issues or not?
Which deck?
Olympia. Sorry, Olympia.
Olympia.
We got a little distracted. We got a little bit distracted here. It's okay.
I mean, you have one action point, right?
Hey, there is unsheathed. There is performance bonus that I just added in my own list.
Mm.
Oh, Evan, you really like this. Bartosz as well. My opponent blocked with Base of the Mountain. Blocking with Chum. Blocking with Rigor Mortis. I played Into the Muck on the Chum, banishing the Chum. It's gone.
Crazy.
Oh man.
I did not see that coming.
Oh,
And that makes me a
man.
gravy expert. That play right there makes me a gravy expert. I don't want to hear anything else. That makes me a gravy expert.
You're more qualified than anybody, I think, with that play.
It's like,
No, actually, I know you played a lot of Olympia, and I didn't play any games against him. I think, in theory, looking at the deck list and like, Olympia wants to play and the gold economy, there are so many things that I could see going wrong for him. And like, Gravy only needs to be careful around a few things in the matchups, and it's pretty easy to sideboard against it. You can't really get fatigue, which is something that was the big problem for like the other warrior matchups. So like, just the fact that you can't get fatigue gives you so much leeway in how you would sideboard this matchup. That I would say that it's probably really Gravy favored, but if you have some more insight, Paul, because you played a lot of Olympia, maybe you have some strategy. I know of the sideboard like you can put in, but maybe like more macro stuff you would do against Gravy.
no, I agree. I think the thing that Olympia can do is add like performance bonus, but like performance bonus is so bad because it has to be an Arsenal and Gravy is Conqueror. I will say like this card, I don't know. Maybe there's something here. If it's good for Betsy, maybe it could be good for Olympia as well. But I don't know. I would really be as confident to put it boom into Inlosable, but we'll have to see.
I think the biggest issue is that Olympia cannot wager against allies.
No, it can. It can.
But
Half
only
of the
with-
card, right?
Yeah, you can. If you hit a wager on an ally, you get the stuff. But Olympia makes gold, which Gravy can steal.
But doesn't it mean that will all the cards that say when this attacks a hero work on the allies?
No, there's like
Some
the
can.
the old ones. Don't
But I
work,
think
right?
all the old ones are unable to wager against allies because they
Interesting.
specifically say that you need to be targeting a hero.
I thought because of the rules change, it didn't matter anymore. But
It's like half and half. But you can wager like the best one, because like the one that gives +1 intellect.
oh right, yeah.
I mean I don't know the name of the Olympia card, but yeah, it's like he can wager most of them. But even if the wager is successful, I don't think like that's like the huge.
Yeah, that would
Like,
swing the
judge thing.
matchup.
Yeah, I think it's just so difficult to like. But maybe I would be interested if you could do something in the matchup to like maybe some switchboard in the sideboard with Olympia for this matchup. I just feel like even with the good wager performance bonus, just playing the like plan you will do against everyone is not working against Gravy, even if you have like some good interaction, just because you're going from so far back. So I would be interested in how you get the deck somewhere maybe against Olympia. It would be really interesting.
All right, I think that's it. We skipped over some like Reinhardt, Teklovos, and
It's quite late, yeah.
It's quite late. It's 3 a.m. for us, guys. We stayed up to accommodate the American people here.
And Canadian.
And Canadian, very
Canadian.
important. I will
Yeah.
definitely Canadian.
We will name the Canadian.
For sure.
maybe.
The most important people by far.
Exactly.
I will say, guys, I feel a little bit biased because I'm friends with both of these guys. I bought the guide. I didn't leave a review because it will feel like it will feel bad. I paid $20 for this guide. I love the guide. It's very in depth. It has a lot of these nice graphs showing exactly ally values, what combo lines you can take. Bartosz and Evan put a lot of time into this, and this guide is really going to level up your Gravy game. So if you want to buy this guide, link is in the description. I would heavily recommend it. For now, we gave you guys a nice little matchup matrix for Gravy. Looking at this, it looks pretty good. Like, there's not a lot of... Like, Syndra, I know, is one of the worst ones, but only having Dory, Golden Flash Studio, and Katsu as 40%, and the rest being like 50% or more, I might be playing Gravy for Hamburg, guys. I don't know about you, but yeah.
I mean, the thing I would say, like, to maybe people interested in playing Gravy is just, like, Syndra is really the only matchup where you sit down and you're just like, I'm not really playing the game. It's like the deck is playing me, and I see my first few hand, and like if you Syndra I roll, I just don't play the game. But in most of this matchup, you're actually gonna take a lot of fun playing Gravy. The deck is actually really fun right now, because the meta game, like in Edinburgh, in the PT, even in Shinjuku, there's a lot of slow decks or like Warrior, where you will see a lot of turns in the game. You will have a lot of decision points. You will have things to set up. The macro is really important. The way you play the game is never the same between games, between turns.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it's a time to play Gravy if you want to have fun with it. It has not been that time for a long time, I feel like. But yeah, when you sit down across a Kasai, it's actually quite fun to play, even if you end up losing.
That seems appealing. Bartosz, you any closing words?
Yeah, have fun playing Gravy and sailing the high seas.
Wow, I love that. All right, that's gonna be the stream. Thank you all for watching and commenting and chatting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bartosz.
Really
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Paul, for having us.
And next time we're gonna have to play some games. We have to do it.
Yeah, I will be happy to.
Maybe not at 3 a.m.
Maybe not at 3 a.m. Maybe more European friendly time, but we'll.
My bed is calling for me. It's time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you.